One 1,000, two 1,000, three 1,000, and bam. All right, so that's what people should be seeing right now. I'm gonna check on the pages. Welcome to Behind Them Sticks with your boy Ham Solo 05 Gaming. You are here today. Brought to you this time by StreamYard, apparently. That's how we're doing our shows now. If you are new to the show, make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe if you can. If you are viewing us through Rumble right now, which is a new platform that I decided to start doing the show on as well, go on ahead and hit that like button and follow us on there as well. We're trying to spread out, get our message out to more and more people, and just be more relevant. Show all the hard work that we do. Might as well try to get it shown by as many people as we possibly can. But anyways, without any further ado, I have a phenomenal guest here with me that I've had scheduled for the show for about a month at this point. I feel maybe even over a month. I don't know. But it's been a hot minute. And it's actually been a hot minute since we actually had the opportunity to chat and kick it. So it's really good to have him on camera today. I've never had him on one of my shows, or I've been on any of his shows and have them been on camera, but I've been on shows with him with Boom. I've also been on shows with him with Gaming Beyond the Box with Wilmy Hood. Yep. Thank you. All right, I had to say the whole thing for me to remember it all. But anyways, Mr. Dreadpool, breaking bread with Dread. What's cracking? Good to see you, brother. How you doing?
Oh, no problem. Oh, it's awesome to be here. Thank you for the invite. And again, you couldn't have picked a better time, because all of last month we were doing Halloween and all the stuff that we were doing with all that. So yeah, it fit in with the perfect timing. Now we're done, and we still got some Halloween lingering, but we're all good now. So I'm happy to be here, and thanks for the invite. Good to see everybody here.
Absolutely, man. I'm happy to have you here. Like I said, this has been a little while coming at this point. I see some people up in the chat as well. Good to see you, Boogie Bang, and Scrub Nurse, the brother that's also on that's also on Game Beyond the Box regularly every Sunday now. It used to be during the week on Wednesdays, I believe. It was either Wednesdays or Thursdays.
It used to be Wednesdays.
Okay, that's what I thought.
It's bounced around. It depends, with scheduling and all that. So we've had to move around to make it easier for everybody. And again, when we do that, sometimes some of the crew doesn't transition to the next spot. But yeah, we still have a huge crew that we all just jump in at the same time whenever we can. And when life happens. But the main thing is we're all solid, and we all just love gaming and having a good time. And that's the way the community is. And, we reflect on that.
Yeah, and that's the bottom line, right? Your love for media or gaming, or for the most part, in most of our cases, it's gaming. So, right. So it's really good to have you. But first, what I want you to do is, just in case I've missed anything, go on ahead and let everybody know where they can find you, what kind of, different sites that you're on. I put your stuff in the description below on YouTube, and I think I did it properly on Rumble. I'm still new at Rumble, so hands up, don't shoot, y'all. But but I'm telling you, I'm telling you, I might have missed something. So if you could do me the favor of just letting everybody know now, and I'll probably have you do it one more time at the end. I see you posted it in the background too, so it's easy for everybody to find.
There's the links for all you that are watching. Here's everything. But beyond that, we'll just talk about it because we do know that there are some people that just want to listen, and but let's bring this back up. All right, cool. So it's everywhere is Dreadpool. Sometimes the O's are actually zeros, like Twitter. So I'm on Twitter. I'm on Twitch is the real Dreadpool because again, somebody has to take everything, and
Right.
If you snooze, you lose. I just get on Blue Sky, so that's actually all letters. But yeah, YouTube is the main place, and everywhere you look, even Linktree.com is Dreadpool, all letters. But everywhere you look, there should be a link to either Linktree or the other platforms. So, and just try to be everywhere. Just even here on Rumble, Dreadpool, all letters.
No doubt.
So yeah, but again, you want to be able to reach out to more people wherever they want to watch, because we've had people on Twitch that that's what they like. They like watching on Twitch. They don't like watching on YouTube. So you try to meet them in the middle, and that's
Right.
I'm glad that you've expanded onto Rumble and going from there to again meet them in the middle and expand your audience, which you should. You need more people supporting you. I'm surprised that you're not bigger. You've earned it. You know what I mean? You've worked for it.
I mean, time will tell. Time will tell, and I'm not in any sort of
hustling,
rush
man.
right now. I'm definitely hustling. I'll agree with you on that one. I am definitely hustling. That is not a lie at all. But anyways, to continue on, now I need to know what you've been playing as of lately, and this is a question that I've been kind of skipping a lot with my guests as of recently. But I should really start asking that more because, I mean, especially in this year, it's been absolutely insane for games that came out. So I'm really interested. What, Mr. Dreadpool, have you been digging your fingers in?
All right. Well, again, the month of October is very limited in time because work and the houses that we sponsor and doing all the YouTube content and so forth with TikTok and trying to get all that. So when it comes to gaming, it's very minimum. But I've been enjoying Starfield, I actually downloaded Dead Space, the remake. I downloaded Forza, but I haven't played those two games, and it's a shame. I want to get into a lot of these games, and now that things are dwindling down, it's not as rushed to create content for Halloween. So I still have a lot of videos in the backlog that I got to edit. So that's basically what I've been playing is the game of life. Dead Island dabbled in there again.
Ooh, Dead Island. I've actually been getting on that a little bit recently myself. I picked the girl with the crazy color hair and whatnot, and yeah, man, I literally just started playing that because I got the. I don't think you can really see it very well. Maybe if I whip up the mic, not really. But it's the LA edition.
Yep.
And it's pretty hot. It was on sale for $25 at GameStop because I don't know, they looking like they're going out of business or something. I don't know what's going on over there. It's looking tragic. But anyways, continue.
Yeah. So, but that's basically the game of life is trying to stay afloat and trying to get everything going. There's a lot of FOMO for gaming right now, and like tomorrow we're going to a house again, so we're going to do another set of videos for that recording. So it's like I'm never stopping right now, and once next week is over with, I'll be able to sit down and get into the games that I want to play. COD is another one that everybody's been talking about, and it's like, again, FOMO. I want to get into this. I want to get into that. So unfortunately, October really throws us off when it comes to gaming.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of gaming and your love and passion for it, that's what this show is literally all about. So I wanted to get right into the meat and potatoes of what we're going to be talking about, at least for the first little bit. So you've been around for some time playing some games and stuff like that.
Oh
I,
yeah.
I don't think that's anything to argue. But I'm curious, and I usually ask this before the show, but I didn't this time because it just kind of slipped over my head. And plus, I'm trying to get all this new stuff kind of working properly in the background. Um, I'm interested in what your very first console that you ever had in the front room, like access to, whether it was you or the parents or like the very first time where you just knew, oh, I don't have anything to do today, I'm a game. What was that for you?
Okay, so this is a very little known one, which is very ironic. But there's a box and it has two little controllers on either side. It wasn't really a controller at that time. It was just another box with a cord. So you had two boxes with cords going to the main box, and the main box was kind of a little tilted, and that would go right to the TV. And you had the UHF, channel 3 at channel 2 at channel 4 at whatever you had at the time. And these boxes had the little dials on it. And for you guys don't understand where I'm going to right now, it was a Pong console.
Yeah, there's only up and down, but it's crazy because the wheel went left and right.
Yeah.
So it was like, what the hell? A little bit of a
It
mind
made
fuck at first.
sense though. It's just one of those things that's intuitive, especially when you're a
Right,
kid.
left up, right down. Simple.
Yeah. It just, you just realized which way you were going, and okay. And it was the basic concepts. It's not like now where you have to open up the manual and like, all right, what's this button combination to just jump? Starfield. Why would you change the jump? You know what I mean? It's like I'm hitting A. Like, why am I not? My guy's not jumping. I know we can jump. Oh, yeah, that's right. Why? But no, it's that was one of the first ones, and basically I would owe it to my mom. She's the one that got me into this. That was something that she was into. My dad never understood it. He grew up old school, in the mountains, and
let's go.
What
state?
No state.
No state.
No state.
Okay, what does that mean?
It means he was in the country of Greece.
Oh, snap. Okay.
So yeah,
wow.
he's an immigrant.
Okay, those are some unfamiliar mountains for your boy. I don't know those.
Yeah. So Mount Olympus, that's the most famous one, right?
Woo, yeah.
I'm a descendant.
Wrath of Zeus.
Notice the curls.
I love it, man. I love it.
So so for him, it at 5 years old, he's sleeping in a tree, watching over the herd, and stuff like that, being a farmer and a shepherd and all that, at the age of 5. In the meantime, I've got nephews at 21 they can't, no common sense. You know what I mean? So with the way my dad was raised, the old school, old country, stuff like that. So he never really understood it. Even YouTube, he still doesn't understand it. He wants me to have the proper job and the corporate thing and think smarter, not harder, and stuff like that. And it's like,
yeah, he has that more boots on the ground approach.
Yeah. He's done it the old school way. Bought something with a few $100 and flipped it by working his butt off, and that's where my work ethic comes from, is from what he's done. And when we were kids, we used to see him come home, sleep, and then we'd see him and leave, and he'd work all night, all day, but he did whatever he had to do to keep us housed and fed. So and my mom made sure that even with all that we had fun. And there was times, we used to live in Chicago, so she'd be like, yeah, we'll see you in a couple days or so. And he'd be like, "What do you mean?" "Oh, we're going to the Dells." So she would just drive us to the Dells, and we'd get out of school and go right there and do all, all this cool stuff. And so that was my mom. She made sure that we enjoyed life. My dad made sure that we lived life.
Dang,
So
that's a dangerous dynamic, and dangerous in a good
right,
way, right? Because
yeah,
then you're getting
yeah,
the best of both worlds, and you're not like 10 toes or like overly invested in just something that might not pan out. You get a
yeah.
little bit of this, get a little bit of that, and then you get to make your decision from there.
Which is why with the YouTube channel and all the other places that you find, I usually say, whatever piques my interest, because I'm one of those jack of all trades, a master of none. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things that I've done so many different things in my history, um, but it's nothing really sat down to it's just whatever I feel like. Drag racing. We did. I was a teacher for swing dancing. Because of that, before that, I literally was a street dancer, and I got an acting gig by doing that. And it's everything's trickled from one thing to another, and everything has always been this or that. That's why when I always joke about having gaming ADD, because I can't just play one game. I have to play 3 different games at the same time.
I feel that.
I shift over. We're playing Halo, and then the next night we're playing Forza, and then the next night I'm going back to Dead Island or um, Vampire Survivors. I'm not addicted to Vampire Survivors. I'll tell you that right now. I am not addicted, but I love playing it.
You going ahead and keep telling yourself that, bud.
Yeah.
Go ahead and tell yourself that, because literally the conversation I had with my wife, because she was like, "Man, we should have played something tonight. I wish I would have woke you up a little sooner from your nap." And I was like, it's whatever. We got all weekend to play. And she's like, "Well, I don't want to play Halo with you this week. I want to play Vampire Survivors." And I'm like, "Yo, like we got a ridiculous amount of time separately in that game, but now they got the couch co-op for that game,
Yep.
and it's a goddamn problem. I'm
See, and
telling you, bro, it's a problem."
I gotta say you're blessed too. You know what I mean? To have a wife that's a gamer that
Good fact.
understands. And that's the beauty of that. We've seen some of our fellow gamers. The wife's nagging, "Why do you have to keep doing this? Why are you
Oh
doing
yeah.
that? I want more time." And it's like my wife's like the same way. She's like, "I don't care. He's not drinking. He's not doing anything. He's not going to the bars where I have to worry about anything. I know exactly where he's at, and I know where the money's being spent." And she's enjoying gaming, also. So she's developed her own uh, community, and that's the beauty, is that we share so many common interests, and yet we're so different, but yet the same person. So we found
Right.
our
It's a
match.
weird balance.
Yeah, and our long history has been the um, no one thought I would ever settle down. No one thought she would ever settle it down.
Right.
And for us to actually settle down, both our maid of honor and the best man was like, "I don't know how you managed to lock him down." She's like, "I don't know how you managed to lock her down." And it was just funny, but we just so much commonality with what we have, but yet we're so different, which is a good thing. You don't want an identical twin, because that gets boring. So you want somebody that has different opinions, different ideas, different likes, but at the same time, the same thing. We for the longest time we'd go to theme parks. We travel for hours to go to Disney or Busch Gardens and so forth, and just enjoy the theme parks, Universal Studios. And that's another commonality we have with Halloween. All the things that we do, and now I was involved in all this before I even met her. And then also, because I have so many different interests, I backed away and found, was doing something else, and lost touch with some family friends, and, got back in touch with my adopted mom, and just kind of like fell back into some of the old circles, and that's how I met my wife. And again, it was just like, who's this guy, and why are they always clamoring about him? The whole circle, like, they're always, oh, Dred's coming back. Da 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 da. He said he'll be here, and she's like, who the heck is this guy? And it's just, and then she sees me, and she's like, this guy, this is who you guys are like swooning over.
Oh, damn, disrespect.
Yeah, right. Well, the funny thing is, when she met me, it was the goatee that was this long. All this was nice and clean and shaved. I had the little line, but it was all the goatee coming down. And now, since
So
we've
you
been
had that
together,
like wandering Dutch look,
yeah,
where it's just like from
it's all
from the
clean and
mustache
just
straight down.
all of this straight down. Yep.
That's what's up.
So, and then, so she's never actually seen my face.
Oh,
Ever.
damn. Well,
She's only seen
maybe that's
pictures.
why she's still with you, brother. I don't know.
Well, she's like, well, and that's the funny thing, right? With my daughter, the trend was everybody shaving their beard, putting on a towel over the head, so and they talk to their kid with the towel over their head, so that way they recognize the voice, and you're holding them, and then you pull off the towel, and it's like, who is this stranger? Why is he holding me? You know what I mean? And you see these kids freaking out, and they're like, oh, you should do. I'm like, no, ain't happening. And even she said the same thing, ain't happening. She's like, I don't want to like think I'm getting, the house is getting invaded by a stranger or something like that. And you can kind of guess the rest of it. But that was, and I'm like, oh, trust me, when I was younger, I would do that. I'd grow it out, and then I would shave it, for whatever reason. I'd, change it up. And I'd look in the mirror and be like, who are you? I don't recognize this person in the mirror. You know what I mean? Because you get used to a certain look. So, yeah, she's never seen my face. Great grandma. Her one request is to see my face once. And I was like, I mean, I keep getting asked, how long did it take? I don't know anymore. It's just, you stop, you just let it grow, and it is however long it is. You used to get a haircut every week. So put 2 and 2 together. If you used to get a haircut every week, how fast the hair grows. So, but yeah, it's
big
just
time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so the first thing that you mentioned was Pong.
Yes.
That you got down on. So tell me how like it evolved kind of from there. And obviously this is going way back. So tell me like if I'm gonna narrow it down a little bit for you, if you don't mind. I want you to tell me like what was the first like love machine that you got, like console, like you're just like, man, this one right here.
Oh, the first love?
Future.
Yeah. First love. And it's a two-parter. First love was the Atari 26.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so when that came out and I was playing Pitfall, forget it. It was like a game changer. But you had tanks, you had this, and everybody was clamoring over all these other games. But Pitfall was just something that I've always stuck to and loved and never beat. I just play until I died and just kept on going. But yeah, that was the thing. And again, with my mom, when we went to Greece, she brought the console with us. So we got to, again, so with my cousins, we were like, oh, the Americans, the cool cousins, they always, they're always lucky. They get this, and that. And it's like, nah, we're all in the same boat. But over there, again, everybody's very strict at that time with a lot of things. You don't buy skinny jeans. Back in those days, my dad had bought skinny jeans. He bought fashion, and my grandfather ripped them right apart in shreds. He's like, you don't buy fashion, you buy work. You buy for work. You buy what's reasonable. So, and that's how they were, and that's what my mom did. She brought over the console. One of my uncles went to one of the, let's call them magicians, right? These electrical magicians. And they converted, ironically, this NTC console to play on PAL TVs. So, like, all the connectors were different, and so forth. So, but again, we were playing Pong over there and having a good time with family, and some of the, again, we had the what was it, Racer, one of the racing games. I can't remember the car racing ones, but we had fun with them, and that's really the first love when it came to gaming. Pong was so in and out that I don't really remember much of it, other than, hey, we got Pong over here on Atari also. So it transitioned from one to the next. And so I have no idea what happened with that console. I don't know if it just got thrown in the trash. It would have been nice that we kept it. Check this out. Have something from the past to be able to show. Who knows whatever happened to that thing? But yeah, we just enjoyed Atari 2600 for the longest time.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's a console I don't have too much or any history with, actually. I mean, I've tried it and played it before, but I can't even I don't have any kind of extensive time period that I've just sat down and got down on it. Not like you. You specifically remember instances, specific games, how they went, how and I kind of want to ask you, since you have like such a long history with that, what were the kind of ways that you thought of gaming back then versus the way you kind of see it today?
Back then, I didn't really see much. I didn't. We weren't as knowledgeable about all this stuff, right? Because it was still the future in the forefront, it coming to life, and just like VR, when that came around for the first time, it's made several resurfacing, I guess. VR is a big zombie that's never actually become alive.
Right.
Only recently is it starting to hit more mainstream, and I've
It's
seen
breathing,
all that.
but it got asma, right?
Yeah.
I gotta keep
It's
checking in
still on
on
life
you.
support. We've got the greatest games that are coming out on this thing, but it's like one game with one controller, like Project, what was it? Alex. The
Half-Life Alex.
Half-Life Alex. Yeah, there you go. And that controller, people played it for the game. They bought the controller, and it's in a closet now. So
Right.
it's a very niche market. And back then,
I
it
played
was a niche
mine.
market.
I have this right here. I have the Oculus Quest 2. I know everyone's. I mean,
I'm working for
keep
the
it
3.
real. To keep it real, but I mean, it came out that not that long ago, and I still don't see people talking about it that much.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of the point I'm getting at. Like, I really enjoy my Oculus Quest 2, but it is a very niche product. It's not something I use every day. It's something that I look at and I'm like, tomorrow I'm gonna charge this tonight and I'm gonna use it tomorrow, and then I don't see it again for another couple weeks, or something like that. Because I get full it's just a different kind of setup and a different kind of attitude that you have to be to get into VR, until they start making these games just really easy, accessible, as well as making VR machines easier and accessible, better
And lighter.
battery life, and lighter, absolutely, especially for the youngins, right? Because the youngins is what really powers these games as they come. It's little kids saying, "Mommy, I want that for Christmas. I want that for the birthday and stuff." That's what really gets the sales pushing and moving. If you're just advertising to adults and stuff like that, there's only so far that it's going to go.
Well, that's the thing, that demographic, to put it in a bluntly, dies out. You know what I mean? That demographic eventually will phase itself out by just time, right? So you always have to refresh those demographics with newer demographics, and that's the whole thing. That's why it's always listed as a game thing. But when it comes to Atari, that was one thing, but the one transition that happened right around that same time was also the arcades, and we grew up in the arcades. That was the place to go. So people always assume it's home console, but it wasn't just home console. We had arcades. We would go to these places. Restaurants had arcade units in it. 7-Elevens used to have arcades. We would play Gauntlet when I was in high school and go
Gauntlet.
to the 7-Eleven and play there. You know what I mean? We would play Galaga and Pac-Man on the tabletop games, right? So one person would sit on one side, one person would sit on the other, and you're playing a 2-player game, which was basically a single player game, and then the screen would revert. So now the other person would actually have it right side up for them. You know what I mean? And that was stuff that was more commonplace than consoles and easier to be accessible. You know, you only had to throw in a quarter, you know, and you got a game out of it. You know, so you had $1, and then you play 4 games and you move on. And that was the beauty of it. And you had arcades, and then the bowling alleys had arcades. So there was so much accessibility when you went out to game, and that's kind of something different that a lot of people forget about when it comes to that arcades were a big deal. That's why when it came to the Sega Saturn, it was like the first arcade board at home. You know, a lot of those Sega games were virtually almost the same as they were in arcade. They were arcade mimicked. They weren't accurate, but they were mimicked as close as possible to that. So when you had Dreamcast, you're like, oh, arcade accurate. It's a little off a little bit, but still, there's a lot of stuff out there that people don't even realize. We're talking about games like Time Crisis. You can't play stuff like that at home, especially now with HD TVs that don't have these refresh rates like the CRT tubes that had. And doing all this where you would use a prime example for those that don't know what I'm talking about, Duck Hunt. You should all know what Duck Hunt is, right? So
of course,
when it comes to stuff like that, you've got the light guns, and now they have some really cool light guns, but there's 2 that I know of, and I just can't remember their names. But they're all like Kickstarter stuff, and they work well, but they need a PC to interact with all that. So again, there's a lot of stuff that the arcades had that we didn't have at home. So when it came to gaming, that's why I say I'm just a gamer in general. Yeah, I have a favorite here and there, but you always have favorite in each generation. And even within the generation, your favorite will change, because there's been times, you go from one console to the next and it's like, oh, that's cool. We had Nintendo, but yet our friends had Sega Genesis.
right?
So well, they had the Master System, but I never got into the Master System. It was like, what's that? That's kind of weird. What's up with that? Because we weren't exposed to it. And then when you are exposed to it, the Sega Genesis comes out with Quackshot, and you're like, that looks cool. And it's just Donald Duck with a plunger gun. You know what I mean? It's silly stuff, but back then it made sense. Today you're like, what are you talking about? Today our silly stuff is like foam stars. Why? But okay, it is what it is.
Not a fan.
No, not
Not a
I don't
fan.
understand it. My wife, if she heard us, she'd be screaming, "Who is it for?" But luckily she's outside; she can't hear. But that's the thing. It's like some of these games make no sense. I
No
mean,
doubt.
who would believe that Minecraft would blow up to be as huge as it is? Talk about a leap of faith when you buy something like that, an IP, and then literally let it blow up. So when it comes to all this, I'm a gamer. I am not an Xbox. I'm not a Pony. I'm not a Nintendo. I'm not, none of that stuff.
No doubt.
I just love games, and no matter where I can get my hands on it, if I can get my hands on a controller, doesn't matter. We'll play games and enjoy the medium for what it is and not for what it's not.
Gotcha. Shout out to the original Next Level game, Mr. Mike Mullis, out here doing his due diligence, looking to see who's out here streaming and doing things. I appreciate you, brother. He's on Rumble right now, and that's where he's in the chat. And I'm looking at the chat room and seeing what he's been saying in here. He says, well, well, well. Look who magically got his camera working. Cough, cough. Brother Dreadpool. And then he just goes on to say, Brother Ham, welcome to Rumble. Looks and sounds great. Enjoy the Quest 2 as well. Virtua Fighter 2 was so close to arcade perfect on Saturn. Brother Dread speaking the truth. So he's definitely got you back. Got you
Yeah.
back all the way. But I mean, he was a little confused about the whole camera thing. He's like, what this dude's on camera. Yeah, special requests only. Special requests only.
Yeah, it depends on where I'm at with my location. A lot of times I cannot be on camera. I actually had to kick my wife off of this camera so she can do her meeting for her podcast, and so she's doing it on the phone. Evil me, right? Just so Ham can get me on camera.
I appreciate I appreciate you doing that work and whatnot in the background. I do. And then shout out to those of you that are on YouTube as well, because I'm streaming there as well. So Scrub Nerds, Boogie Main, Silent Cypher came through, Far Q. What's cracking? Good to see you up in here. And to whoever is watching this on Twitter, hello. I'm not gonna go check over there right now. I'm sorry. But anyways, gonna continue pushing on this. I'm really interested now as the times kind of continue to unfold. Things keep getting more grander by the generation, right? Now I'm going to kind of narrow down this question to something a little different, something I don't get to ask everybody because not everybody goes through this time period.
Okay.
But in the 90s, and I'm talking about like mid 90s. So this is like the generation. Let's go from Sega CD kind of area, 32X CD area, all the way up to like well into the PlayStation 1. There were a lot of other consoles that people forget about throughout this time period because a lot of people look at it as if it was the same as it is today, where it was only like 3 big guys, but no. There was, there was the Jaguar, there was the Turbo Graphics, there was there was the SNK out there doing the damn thing. 3DO was out there doing the damn thing. I mean, brother, you can keep going. You can just keep going.
Yep, Philips CDI. That's the one that gets forgotten. Little known one was the Pioneer. They actually had a console built into one of their home systems. So there's stuff like that. And, when people were talking about how big the PlayStation 5 is, I'm like, that's nothing compared to the the Pioneer, the Pioneer console, which again, it was, you're talking about playing discs and stuff like that. It was its own little thing. Some of them, there was one that played one of the actual consoles itself. It integrated. So, again, it's faint memories. I'd have to do some more research again, but it was stuff that I remember from way back when. We've got people in the community now that are digging up old retro stuff that made no sense, when you bring it up, but back then it made sense because it was innovative. It was like, oh, this new thing, but again, who remembers playing Zelda anywhere other than on Nintendo? Zelda was elsewhere, just like Mario was elsewhere. And I'm not talking about arcades. I'm talking
You're not talking about PC, are you?
No.
3DO
had a bad Nintendo Super Mario. There was a Zelda, and I believe that was on Philips. Mike, I'm sure will correct me on all this. I'm just going off the top of my head right now. If I would have known we were going to go into this, I would have, refreshed my memory a little bit better.
okay.
But yeah, there was a lot of different consoles out there that tried, and for the most part, they were succeeding at first, but they just didn't have the libraries. They didn't have the longevity, So when you go, you're talking about the 32X, and that's the history of Sega Japan versus Sega America fighting over what the 32-bit console was going to be. and unfortunately, that's what did in the Sega Saturn, is the fact that it was competition with the 32X. And it's like, wait a second, we just bought this upgrade so we can play 32X games, and yet now you're going to release a 32X console? You know what I mean? So you got a 32-bit console now that I just paid money for all this, and now we're going to do this? And, and then obviously
Mixed
Dreamcast
messages.
is Dreamcast is the same thing. Dreamcast came out after the Sega Saturn kind of failed. And at that point in time, again, they did it to themselves. Sony, on the other hand, they're ruthless. They made sure that Sega was well done. You know what I mean? And that was the beauty of it, was we had different manufacturers vying for us, fighting for us, being competitive. I mean, sure, there were games back then on Super Nintendo that were $100. Then, not today's money. Then, so now you figure for inflation, well over $100. But those games came out perfect. When you look at
That's
that,
the problem with $70 games to me today, is like, you asking for that extra money. And I get the whole inflation thing that you're talking about, but we're talking about, there's a lot of things to sick your money into today.
We're talking about, but you got to remember, back in those days, we're talking about a huge game was 23 megabytes, right? You're talking about this little chip was the whole game and everything, and then they would put it in a big cartridge because they, the whole gaming collapse. So when you look at it like that, and you're talking about 23 megabytes, and the 2 generations ago, the largest games were typically 6 gigabytes, right? So you're showing a huge jump from back then to where we are now, and you like I said, the 360 PS3 era, that was 6 gigs, and then you'd have like certain games that were multiple discs. So you're talking about bigger than 6 gigs, but there were multiple
Shenmue
discs.
was like 4.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorite games. I mean, the passport disc was there, but like the main game was on 3 discs.
Yeah, but that's the thing, that you can only fit so much, and now they're getting bigger and bigger. But again, you're talking about the size, and when you have to go through code with that size, coding for up, coding for right, coding for left, that's small. Now you're coding for all these different dramatic scenes that are happening. You're
buildings
coding
crashing and explosions.
Yes. So now we have cloud computing in the games. Now we have AI working in the games, and people are freaking out over this. And it's like, no, it's just basic technology. You use AI as a tool. You don't use AI to do everything for you. Even here on YouTube, AI is a tool, not everything that you do. So
still gotta put some manual work into it, though.
Right. I mean, and right here with the stream right here, yes, this is somebody else's work. Okay, so that could be somebody else's, the AI, but you still have to put together everything to make this podcast work.
Right, you got to manage it. You still got to put the worm on the hook. You still got to do that part yourself if you want to eat.
Yes, and that's the thing, is you want the competition, you want all this stuff going, but when games get so big, and people are complaining about it, it's like, yeah, well, you got a team of 20, and that was a huge team back in the day. Back, Qbert was one person, 1 or 2 people working on Qbert, and that was a fluke. So you had some of these other games that, again, you only had a couple of people, maybe 5 at the max back in those days, but the code was so small, it wasn't a big deal. Ironically, they made a game from using an oscilloscope. And for those that don't know, it's a tool.
I was going to say, you're going to have to describe what that is, because I don't know.
It's a tool that measures voltages and frequencies. So you can actually hook up leads onto something, and you can watch the frequency and watch the voltages go up and down. And that's usually what you see. There's a little screen about this big, and it's got a green tone on it, and the light is green, and you'll watch
Like a pit boy.
like the yes. I was gonna say you watch like the bass notes, because that's what I used to do back in those days too. Was hook it up to the speaker so I can watch the bass just like reverberate on there and just show all the different frequencies when the
You're
bass would
such a
hit.
nerd.
I am. I mean, I went to computer electronics school, so
There you
I
go.
went that was my degree was computer electronics. So when people are trying to tell me how to build a PC, thank you, but I understand the basics. I understand that today is a little different, but it's not like I'm out of the loop. You know what I mean? My mind is technically minded when it comes to this. It's all logic, so I experience different things, but it's not like I forgot where I came from, and when you're talking about all this stuff, it's like this is what I did, this was my thing. But again, I do a whole bunch of different things, and back in those days I was a bass boy, you know what I mean? So, and going from Tech Master PEB, Bass Boy, and a few others, and then throwing in, we're building these stereos, and just about rattling the whole car apart.
Dude, I'm still into that stuff.
Trust me, I love it. I still love it.
I got an Alpine Type R in my truck right now, bro. Like, I still love making my truck. I still love looking over and seeing the disgruntled face of another person. Just look at this motherfucker.
I love the JBLs. I love
you taking it back with the JBLs.
Kickers. I love kickers, man. Oh my god.
Barracks, the squares or the circles?
The circles.
Okay, those are the classics.
So yeah. But that was the best part, was we'd turn on, so we'd go up and down the boulevard, and everybody's a bass boy that was cruising back then, and we were all, everybody's competing and having a good time. But then we'd really throw them for a loop. We'd pop in some Metallica, and with Lars doing the double bass, you can't breathe, man. It's like your esophagus is sealed shut. You can feel just the vibration, and you can't inhale, you can't exhale, you can't breathe. You're just like frozen. But again, technology. This is stuff that I was into, and doing stuff like that. But that was the thing that we would do, man. We'd go down the boulevard, do that stuff, hit the arcade, go play some beach volleyball. We would do all this stuff, and none of it made sense. You know what I mean? I go to a country bar wearing metal shirts. Now everybody's doing that.
Right, that's normal now.
Now it's normal.
But you stuck out. You stuck out back then. I mean, hell, just when I was in school, I'm younger than you. I'm much younger than you. But like, I mean, even back in the 90s when I went to school, it was just like, that you catch somebody wearing a Zelda shirt, that was something to see.
Right. Yeah.
That was something, and usually it was something to see as like, they're getting bullied. like it's one of those situations. It's like, oh god, I love the game, but I'd never be caught dead wearing that stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
and that's the funny thing, though. People got bullied when it come to video game merchandising and stuff like that. But I got bullied differently, if you know what I mean. I got bullied more because I was a different race than others. I'm not a purebred, you know what I mean? So even with that, it's like I got bullied that way in school, and it was like 4th grade. After that, I didn't give a rat's ass. It didn't bother me. So I think that's why, again, when you don't let them see that it bothers you, they can't really bully you anymore. You know what I mean? So
never let them see you sweat.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. So, we'd wear the Mario shirts and stuff like that. But I also, my dad used to own a restaurant, and in the restaurant we had a bar. So how many 13-year-olds, well, at that time I was 12-year-olds, do you know that would actually stay out all night and hang out with the DJ and then tell the DJ what songs to play? You know what I mean? Yeah, the owner's son, that's who. You know, we'd play, and here's another beauty.
Probably
We
had some
used
people kissing your ass at some point.
no one really, because we never pushed around that we were the owner's son. We just we were just there hanging out,
Oh,
so
that's
we were
cool. That's
whatever,
very nice of you.
yeah, so we never did any of that stuff, and I don't like that. I don't like, I've never liked bullies because of, again, like I said, when I was in fourth grade, um, being a half breed and stuff like that, and people giving you crap for something that you can't control,
Facts.
and it spiraled really bad that I was in the principal's office most of the time. Again, fourth grade, getting bullied by eighth graders.
Mm.
I get up on the bus, and
You
by the
must have
time
been in a small school, brother. If fourth grade and
it
eighth grade
was
was together.
it was um, a private school.
So like one of those K through 12 schools.
It was, yeah, it was one of those private schools, because of being in Chicago. They didn't want us in with the general population.
No, they wanted to bully you in private.
So yeah, so instead we got private. Yeah, but that was the thing, right? So that was the funniest thing. Here I am, fourth grader, getting bullied by these three freaking eighth graders. I step up on the one step on the bus, and the bus driver kind of gave me a weird look, and I kind of like gave him a little, almost a wink. Like, I gave him a smile. I stepped up on the next step. Now I'm face to face with the eighth graders, and I just laid them out. Next thing I know, their friends start trying to get on the bus. The bus driver grabs me by the shoulder, throws me back, and slams the door shut. I went to the principal's office for that, but I didn't get in trouble. Again, it's like,
Are you fighting for your damn life?
what do you do? So there's times you walk away, and that's what I did. And finally, there's times that you got to stand up for yourself. And that's why when schools are like, well, you should never be fighting. Well, you know what? Maybe you should do something. And that's why I don't like community members that are over toxic or over pushy, because you're not being truthful. You're just being an online bully, and I don't like that. And and I separate myself as much as I can from that. So when it comes to gaming, I want everybody to enjoy games, and that's why I say I'm just a gamer. Everybody should just enjoy games. If you have a preferred platform, great. I want the days when you can be like, nudge, nudge. You know what I mean? Oh, you're kicking my ass, but let's see you fight through that Charlie horse, and stuff like that. I want that camaraderie. I want that back and forth thing where yeah, it's me and you. Yeah, we might be, your mom, whatever. Yeah, your mama. But today you say your mama, and people are like, oh, you can't do that. And it's like,
yeah.
Why are you dogpiling? This is between me and my buddy. This does not concern you. We're having a good time. You don't have to stand up for me. You're being self-righteous over nothing. Don't speak for me. When it's time to speak up, but don't do that. And that's the other worst part, is the dogpiling. Why? Why we dogpiling on devs? Why we dogpiling on CEOs and some of the stuff? Call out what you need to call out. Do it respectfully. If they make a bad game, they make a bad game. Call them out, but don't dogpile on it.
Yeah, and getting personal and stuff like that. It's just like, yo, man, remember, this is a job. At the end of the day, just like the person that served you your food, just like the person at the grocery store that rung up all your items, just like the person at the toll booth that threw them change, through that pocket full of change in just to get your way home. Right? It's still a job at the end of the day, and they're trying to leave. They're trying to clock out with sanity. Mm-hmm. like they do not need. So if somebody's has some criticism that they can go in and work on and make something better, or look to in the future and be like, oh, I see what you mean. I'm gonna make that change about the game, or that change about the sequel coming or something like that. But But
And
just
that's
being an asshole, just that doesn't help
yeah.
nobody.
You see, and that's the thing. There's a lot of armchair quarterbacks, right? And until you actually walk in that person's shoes, you don't understand. And if you work in any kind of service industry, you understand that there are so many, and granted, in any profession, there are those that should not be in that profession, right? We've all seen Waiting, we've all seen some of these other movies, that
Waiting is foul, bro.
right.
Them donuts, bro. Like, oh man, no, no,
I
no,
I
no,
I
no,
I
no, no.
I on the uh it's the nickname is Alligator Alley. So you're gonna get this one first. Nobody else has heard about this one. Only those that were there know about it. But I managed to pull off the goat going down Alligator Alley, and we were doing about 90.
I don't know what that is
Um,
at all.
in the movie, the kid that they were picking on all the time and giving him all the hassle, and when he's like, you suck, da 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 da, and then he turns around and he does the thing, and they're like, whoa, get back here, and they gave him his props because he
Oh
got them.
yeah,
I pulled that going down the highway. We had
you
two
are
of us.
foul. that is mad.
We had three cars, but there was two of us that were like kind of like doing one of these things back and forth with each other. And I was like, all right, this is what you're gonna do. And sure enough, my friends in the other car were like, I saw it all.
Man,
But that's
you are
that's
wrong
having
for that.
fun. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, y'all
So,
goofy back then for sure.
oh yeah,
Shout
yeah.
out Shout out to Matt Likes Games that pulled up in the chat on YouTube saying, "Ah, damn, that he said, "Oh damn, turn that bass on one." Metallica for the last 3 minutes of the song and blow your damn speakers out.
Yes. One was one of the ones. I always loved playing Master of Puppets because I would get to the part in the song where it's very much like an orchestra. And this was, like I said, back in the 80s. You got the orchestra going, and it's like, oh, this is very nice. This is Metallica. Wow, this is a very nice band. What it's like an orchestra, right? And all of a sudden it just like ramps up, and you're like, whoa. And it's the same rhythm and everything, but the way that they designed the song and everything is just like nice and smooth and very mellow, and then it just like gets you right back in again. And one is one of those bass songs that we love. So there's a lot of songs, but like I said, Lars is just a beast when it comes to the drums, and you're like you just feel it. And again, there's a lot of stuff that and all this is ironically around gaming the whole time. Everybody that we'd all game together. We'd all go here and go do this and game, whether it was in the arcades or go to the house. So all this is like I said, centered around something that my mom brought to my life. So I always thank her for it. And I got to give her credit. She'd hold the controller and try to get Mario to jump, right? Let me just do it like this, right? So this is the Nintendo's just the regular Nintendo, right? And her version of jump was trying to get him to jump.
Yeah. A lot of people back in the day used to move with their controllers a lot more than. I mean, that was a whole thing that people used to make fun of other people about. You always jumping around, and like it's especially those that were unfamiliar with playing games. They just think that like the controller has some sort of sense inside of it that'll understand that you're trying to jump if you just throw your controller.
Now imagine this. What would you say this if you saw somebody? We're Tiny Giant. Can you give me a controller? So, just give me a controller just for a second. Now, what would you say? That's fine. Thank you. What would you say to someone that would play on the recliner and play like this?
I used to do that.
Right? My
I used
friends,
to do
and
that.
I'm playing Halo, and my friends are like, we're playing Fear, we're playing Batman, and they're like, how do you do that? And it's like, I don't know, it's just muscle memory. You just sit back like that and just playing. Don't even think about it. You just, but that's again, it's those things that comfort. I have 3 Dreamcasts. I've got one that's the regular Dreamcast. I got a black one, which is the
The sports one.
NBA Sports. I've got another one that's a hacked version. Same thing with Sony, the OG PlayStations. One of them's hacked. Back in those days, it was like, oh, you got a hacked one? I'll pay you for it. But I still had the regular one, so I still supported them. But it was, we couldn't afford to buy all these games that we're buying now. My daughter has no idea how lucky she is right now with where we are in gaming. Let alone have a father that is fully enveloped when it comes to all this. So I'm buying games for myself. I mean, she's been playing the original Dead Island with us for years, and now she's playing the Dead Island 2 sequel. At 10 years old. And you 6 years old, she's been playing Dead Island.
That's
Right.
crazy. That's what's wild.
So yeah,
Times changed, brother.
and it's funny because at 10 I was like, whoa, what's this? It's like track and field, Mario, and stuff like that. Way back when it was Pong. And you're like, oh, we'll just move the ball from here to here and try not to let it pass us. Oh, okay, I get the concept. Now it's like, she's like running and gunning and slashing and stomping on zombies' heads and then she turns around and plays Mortal Kombat. And then she turns around and plays Minecraft. I don't get it, but I'm not going to fault her for it.
Yeah, right, right.
It's
You're not
something
going to
that
tell
she
them, hey,
enjoys.
play the
Yeah,
game that I enjoy. You gotta let them enjoy
right.
their experiences so they can figure out what's good, what's bad, all that. And sometimes what's bad to you is great for another person, right? I mean, that's why a game that rates sometimes in the 40s, 50s, or 60s and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, I can't stop playing this joint right here. Everybody else is looking at me crazy. I'm just like, different strokes for different folks.
And that's exactly it, and that's why I don't like the scores. I don't like the scoring it, and unfortunately, because of what we're doing when it comes to certain podcasts, you have to have a score. And I still preference that. I don't like to give a score because I feel that it's, again, it's subjective when it comes to that. But a 70 is a passing grade, but
It
I
is.
know in the 90s, now that I was buying my own games, I had to make a hard, fast rule of anything below a 92, I'm not paying for because I can't afford to buy a game to find out it's not for me. When a game came out at 92 or higher, it was more of a demographic of more people actually like this, not, oh, it's a better game. It was just the fact that more people liked it. And I would go to multiple magazines to double check. And a lot of these journalists, and they are actual journalists, they went to school for journalism. Gaming journalism was beneath them, but they did their job. They had ethics behind what they did and reviewed. And they, yes, I'm a racer. I am reviewing this racing game. And then you would have like, sometimes they would have like a secondary reviewer or a third, and they would be like, yeah, I'm not a racer. I am a adventure, role playing game or RTS player. But you know what? I like this racer. It was very welcoming, and they would give you like their actual opinions, not based on any kind of bias as to what console it was on or PC or any of that stuff. It was about the game, and it was truthful, and it was their truth, whether we agreed on it or not. But it made sense because it was what they thought as a journalist, not as as a hobbyist, not as a fan of a platform trying to push a false narrative. You know,
Right.
we see that today, and that's, when um, it sucks that mainstream media is like that, and I do see smaller channels that try to be as truthful as possible and try to give better breakdowns like they used to do back in the day. So yes, they're not proper journalists, but guess what? They're at least trying to be honest about what they do and how they do it. Some of them only buy the games that they review. They will not accept the code because they want to make sure that they show no bias, that they got a free game. So that's the thing, is a lot of people go whichever, and then, oh well, this is it. This is game of the year, and it's like, how many game of the years did you have so far this year? Harry Potter, Spider-Man, Starfield, Forza, um, Dead Island 2. You know what I mean? So it's like you had all these games that were game of the year, and it's like, okay, it's nice that you're loving it, but they all can't be game of the year. They could be a favorite game, but let's be honest, it's uh, let's you enjoyed the game extremely immensely, and you played it all the way through. Cool, but you're not fanboying over a console, and that's what I loved about back in those days when we did do stuff like that. Is because I had a Nintendo, you had a Genesis, and we would go back and forth, but we would also play together. So all the consoles that we owned, we'd always make fun of the other one. I make fun of my own consoles anyway, so what's the difference? Those are those little elbow jabs that we used to throw to each other because we're friends, not these frenemy things that we see online because we're behind the keyboard that nobody knows what we look like. This is what I look like.
No doubt. No doubt. All right, brother. So moving on down, I'm now kind of interested in hearing, like, now more recent kind of
Okay.
consoles, and I want you to kind of deliberate on how you moved during the original Xbox, PS2, Dreamcast, GameCube kind of
Okay.
debacle, or whatever you want to call it, because I mean, a lot of people will argue that that was like the greatest time in gaming, because there was just there was a lot of selection when it came to different type of consoles, but then there was a lot of different games just kind of being brought out, and it really seemed like the industry was really pushing in different directions during that time period, although Sega fell kind of flat. Go ahead and
Yeah.
kind of talk about that.
Yeah. So we go from Atari to Nintendo to Super Nintendo, Genesis, Dreamcast, PlayStation. Actually, it was PlayStation, then Dreamcast, and we just kind of went from one to the next. Dreamcast, right to I completely skipped over PlayStation 2. It it wasn't any particular thing that kept me away from it. I just had no interest, and it was cool that it was BC. Um, it was cool that a lot of my friends were playing JRPGs on it, so I didn't have a real need for it. But my friends had them, so if we needed to play, we'd play. We went from let's see, Dreamcast to Xbox, which was like the natural transition. I didn't buy a PS3, but I was traveling so much, I ended up earning a PS3 through all my travels. So I got that for free, and that was like, man, I skipped over 2, I'll get 3. Cool. And enjoyed that. Obviously, 360 was a fan favorite. And then we go to the Xbox One, and the whole debacle with that. I love Connect. Okay. I hated the fact that when they went from 360 to the one, they're like, this is the only way to do it, and it costs an extra 100. They literally threw themselves under the bus. They pretty much almost killed themselves doing all this, and then turning around going, okay, well, we've separated, so you don't have to buy it. You can buy just the console. And when it came to that, and again, I skipped over the PS4. I bought my PS5 doing some rewards, so I literally didn't pay anything for my PS5. I have a second Series X that, again, doing the Microsoft rewards, paid for itself 100%. So everything involves gaming, but it's been like one transition through the next. And when you look at in the 360 PS3 days and the GameCube days, that was like the height of experimentation with games, the varieties. So it wasn't always the same old, but when the same old, you look at Halo 3 and Halo 2, you look at those midnight release parties, those were
Man,
huge,
those were hot back in the day,
you know,
bro.
and stuff
Hot.
like that was awesome because you would meet people that you would never have met any other way. And you're here for the same thing. You're here for a commonality. Even when they released the consoles, you're standing there for hours waiting to go pick it up, and that was the fun part because you interacted with people. You find again the commonality with others. You have nothing in common with this person. No other way or recourse to interact with them any other time or for any other reason. But here and now, we're here to get this console or we're here to get this game, and we're one. We're the same person or the same love for the game or the unfortunately, for lack of better words, love for the console, right? Because we want to play games as a gamer. But that was the whole thing. You have that generation that goes through, and that generation with the 360 PS3 was like the most experimental when it came to what they were doing. You saw how Wii Sports was like the number one for one because it came with it. So of course it was like the most locked in game when it came to console sales.
Right.
So, but yet you see how, oh well, we'll put a camera on the PS3 had a camera, the Xbox had a camera. I'm going to backtrack a little bit. I loved how they had that integration with Rainbow Six, right? You take a picture of your face and they put it on your character.
Right.
So you're
2K
running
did
around.
the same thing, yeah.
We had fun back then because how many games could you put your face in there before? None. And this was one of those
scan thing. It was nuts.
Yeah. And we had people that would put the bandanas on, and then that part of that was part of your face. So now, as you're walking around, you had, this part covered up on you with whatever bandana design you had, and that was cool little thing. And that's what reminds me when I watch Senua, that black on her always reminds me back of the OG Xbox days when we used to do all that. And but it was cool. And then again with the 360, Connect, that was the coolest thing ever. And improving on it, but yet forcing people, it's like I didn't care. The whole TV integration thing, I was like, okay, cool. Because now I don't have to like switch buttons. I can just turn it on. Everything turns on. I'm watching TV. I can go right to the game. I can go right over here, do whatever. We had picture in picture. We had all this stuff.
Snap. Yep. Snap.
And then the innovation kind of like dwindled. And now the innovation
actually backtracked. It actually backtracked during the generation. They took away those features, and it was it was crushing to me.
I mean,
I was so
how many times did you have games where someone had a Connect and you're like, Xbox off, and their whole team would just shut down and crash out. You know what I mean? It was like, that was awesome. That was stuff. My buddy, he would sit there and play, right? And his wife, they lived with me at one point in time, and his wife would come over and she'd talk to him. He's like, and she's like, "Did you hear what I said?" And just still sitting there playing. And she's like, "Xbox off." I had to like turn that off because she would turn me off too if it picked her up. And he'd be like, "What are you doing?" Like, and I'd hear him in the middle of it, like freaking out, like, we we're gonna win now. I just got kicked out. And I'm like, yeah, he just got kicked out. His wife just turned off the Xbox because she used to like just go push the button, and once she learned she can say Xbox off, that was it. She'd walk in the room, Xbox off, and it's like, that's an idea. And people were doing it on the headsets, turning off other people's Xboxes. That's why, when you talk about the home assistants on YouTube, a lot of people have to like miss A or something like that to not trigger somebody's house from doing something weird that you didn't want them to do, or well, maybe you intentionally wanted it to like happen to their house if it picked you up. But it's stuff like that. It was cool stuff back then, and they pulled back from the innovations that they were trying. Now it's like the innovation is basically how big can we make this game? How graphically detailed can we make this game? But yet let's not, I don't know, make sure that it works. Make sure that there's no bugs. There's always going to be bugs. And when it comes to online gaming, there's always going to be bugs because there's so much code involved when it comes to all that. And there's so many people that find ways to break games, and now they're finding ways to break games for a narrative versus finding ways to break games that have fun breaking the game. The whole dynamic has changed with what fun is for a lot of people. Fun is antagonizing somebody else. Fun is making, it's like, are you even playing the game? I mean, look at Jaffe, called out that guy. He literally led him down a path, and the guy said, yeah, I didn't agree with that. And he's like, it's not even in the game. But yet you're dogging the game like you played it.
Didn't even know what he was talking about. It was terrible.
That's
terrible.
Yeah, it was funny, but it was horrible because it shows you these narratives and these people. This is why I say you've earned this spot. You've earned, you've earned every bit of your growth because you're doing it honestly. You're hustling. You're doing everything you can. These guys are lying, and they're getting followers because people like watching train wrecks. They like watching the drama.
That's true.
It is what it is, but they only grow so far. That drama only lasts so far.
Yep, misery loves company, and company loves misery. It goes both ways.
Yeah, exactly.
It really does.
And that's the thing. That's why it's like, try not to push these people. Try to push people like you. Try to push people that are honest about what they do and hustle to get to where they are at. They appreciate each person. Each person that they have is not the next possible victim. Everybody, through my journey, I've appreciated everybody in the community. I look at everybody as family. That's why I said it's been too long, because you're family to me. That's the whole thing. We all interact with each other, and yes, some family members don't interact with each other very much, but when you do, it's like it was yesterday. There is no animosity. It's just we just haven't interacted. It's just
right.
Two passing ships, and you just didn't see each other.
Living our lives, ain't nothing wrong with it.
But
no, continue.
I was gonna say, but yet you promote each other.
Oh, absolutely,
the good people.
Yeah. The point is to help each other out throughout life, and you may not be able to be there all the time for somebody, but if you have a moment to spare and you see somebody like kind of going through it, or just needing a little extra bump just to help them smile, ain't nothing wrong with like sharing. Like some people act like hitting the share button, hitting the like button, hitting any kind of these just random buttons, like they act like you need to like give them a piece of you for them to validate that that you're trying to push something out or something like that. So and I think that's silly, and that's why I always say, like earlier, my buddy Mike, Hard Days Mike, was streaming, and he posted something on Twitter saying, he's like, I almost have 90 followers. I'm only 1 follower away. And I retweeted it, and all I said was free support. That's because that's what it is. It's
Yep.
literally free. And actually going to his site, hitting follow on Twitch, that's free to do. Hitting like on this channel, that's free to do. Subscribing, it's free on YouTube. Follow me on follow me on Rumble because subscribing does cost money over there. But yeah, follow, subscribe. You know, sometimes it's the same thing. If it's free to do it, what's so hard about just hitting the button real quick just to show the person, like, even if you're not going to be available to be there for every single show, every single
Mhm.
broadcast, you know, every single moment, just hitting that button means more. And Zocker says it all the time in his at the end and at the beginning of his shows that he does for his Xbox channel or his gaming channel. He says hitting the like button means more than you could possibly know. It does.
It does.
It really does. Hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe, all that stuff means more to us, especially us that aren't like Mr. Beast or anything out there. It
Yep.
means everything for us,
See,
especially continuing to start to grow and stuff like that early on.
yeah, and that's the other thing. I'll quote Noof Nukem. He even says whether you're here for a minute or the whole show, he's like, I appreciate your time. You know, I appreciate the fact that you even stopped in, even if it was that minute. You know, because it shows that support is there. There's, you know, and again with what we've always said before, life is life. You know, family first, and sometimes you just can't be there. But yet, stopping in for that minute is a cool thing, and you know, hitting that like button is again another cool thing. It shows YouTube and Rumble and all these other platforms that this is a good form of content to promote again to the next person that's like you, and that's why, you know, again, it's nobody wants to be that salesman to be like, hey, check me out, check me out, check me out, you know, look at
No,
me. Nobody wants that, but you have to push that out, you know. And I know we've got into some discussions in the community about people that are like, hey, make sure you like and subscribe this, you know. We don't like that, you know. Well, but yeah, we don't like saying it either, but it's a necessity.
you're right.
You have, it's one of those things, you know. Oh, you know, if you like and subscribe, you can quote keep the lights on. It's a saying. I understand it's cliche now, but it's a saying. It's something that you're validating to the listener, to the community, that this helps me to be able to keep pushing and moving forward and give you better content as we progress. I can grow, and the more I grow, the better I can be, the better that you will have content wise to view and enjoy. You know,
Exactly, Dread. I tell you, I'm gonna tell you right now. The only reason that we're on StreamYard right now is because of the viewers and
yeah.
whatnot. They gifting me, you know, super chats and stickers, and you know, people becoming members of the channel. That helped me to be able to afford a year membership to here on StreamYard to continue to help give you guys a more quality experience while we're on cameras. So I'm trying to move my channel on up. And as you see, it went from here. Now I'm also streaming this same show on Rumble now too. So it's helping me spread out. The money that you guys are giving me, it's not going to McDonald's. It's not going to the GameStop so I can buy the next game to tell you guys how I feel about it. It's literally going right back into the channel to help
So
provide you guys a better experience.
it's not going to the Maserati.
Oh man, yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna park my Maserati out front
You
of
know,
my apartment
but
building.
you know, and that's the thing. You know, and that's the thing with my podcast. I finally found my niche when it comes to the podcast, but it's in person, right? So I it took me a while. I got I got into Anchor.fm, which is now part of Spotify. It's been a part of it, but now it's actually in the Spotify podcast. You know, I've done all that, and it was just the audio only, and you know, with my audio, it's got two mics. One person's one ear, one person's in the other ear. That was like the unique thing because it was an old Public Enemy song, and I always loved the fact. And I brought it up the other day too. I can't remember who I was. Oh, I was talking to Dusty Uno about it, and Chuck D's in one ear, Flavor Flav's in the other ear, and the rest of the music and everything going on is in stereo or in both ears, like
Yeah,
normal.
right.
You know what I mean?
But
So
each person's in mono.
each person is mono in each ear. So if you know, and I've had people in Australia going, I'm waiting for the next one. I'm in the morning. I'm gonna sit down and have my cereal and be engulfed as if I'm sitting there with you guys. You know, so I got foodies that are like they want to know about this stuff. You know, and what has happened now? I've granted I just got monetized this year, but I've been putting money in little by little. I've got 360 cameras, so now I have developed the 360 camera into that interview, so that way you can watch it on your YouTube channel in 360. You can move the screen around, or you can move your phone around, and it changes the view. Or you put your the VR goggles on, and turn your head, and you're literally
It's
watching
like you're
me
sitting in the
watching the
room.
guest. Yeah. I've got some feedback from those that have, like Axel from Iconic Video Games. He's like, I have to go one way and then literally turn my head 180 degrees the other way to watch the other person. So again, feedback like that gave me the opportunity to pull the camera out from literally right in between us, just to the side, so that way they can kind of feel like they're in the middle and they just turn their head. Stuff like that is monumental. And when you have people like your show, comment and all that, it promotes you to other places for other viewers, and allows that to happen, which is how you got this um, the StreamYard, because of people doing stuff like that. And that's, again, promotion you have to do, but again, it's one of those things that um, you you're doing it for the community, for the love of what you do, and the love of life. If you weren't enjoying this, you'd be doing something else. You're enjoying this, and you're happy to present something that is you to the world, and this is one way that you do it. This, just like my idea of a podcast that was totally unique happens to fall when I started at the beginning of the pandemic, which, how am I supposed to do interviews when we have to separate and be away from each other? How do you know what I mean? We can't socially socialize at a restaurant because they shut everything down. I screwed myself, but I love it. And a lot of the community loves it too. So it's harder to do because now I've tapped out local people as much as I could, but I have to drive further now, which means I'm further away from my family. So stuff like that, it's a big deal
No
when it
doubt.
comes to stuff like that. So people, again, until you walk in somebody else's shoes, you don't understand what it's like. That's why, we're talking about servers and the hospitality industry, how a lot of people don't understand how bad it is for them when you treat them like dirt. Same thing here. When you treat people like nothing, all right, cool. It doesn't affect us, but it doesn't help us either. And when there's love, and you see that somebody loves what they do and they're putting it, their effort in there, you should support that. Even if it's a share, retweet it, something like that. Okay, well, I can't be there to watch, but you know what? I like this person. I'm gonna go ahead and share out his content.
Well, speaking of content, we're going to get into your content creation here in just a second. But before we go into that, I specifically want you to talk about today's generation. So I
Huh.
want you to just kind of go into what you think about the Switch, what you think about the PS5, what you think about the Series S and X. And then I also want you to talk about, like, kind of going down into the future and how you see them, whether it is innovating, getting bigger, expanding, going into different, avenues to continue their gaming and to continue their gaming legacy. Go on ahead and speak on that for me, real quick.
Okay. So I've always said this, and we briefly touched about it. We're the generation that's dying out, right? So you have to expand on the next generation. Games like Minecraft, Lucky's Tale. Oh, that's not for me. I'm a hardcore gamer. Well, guess what? Eventually, the hardcore gamer moves on. Maybe they grow up and develop other interests. I mean, there's games that I would never have played any other way, any other time, but because I had access to it, I played it, and I call it a stupid fun game. It's basically something that you can just enjoy, not even think about, and just have a good time playing it. So you never know. So when it comes to stuff like that, um, a lot of games today for the consoles, sometimes the community overthinks or has a narrative which does not help the devs, it does not help the games, it does not help each other. And where we could be getting into that 360 PS3 era of trying new things. We're getting to the point where same old, it's just another iteration of the old game, right? What did we hear for so many years from 2013? Forza Gears Halo, Forza Gears Halo. Well, that's not the same anymore. It hasn't been the same, but it's the same narrative. My brother-in-law still talks about how Xbox sucks and how PlayStation is so much better, but he sold his PS4 years after he bought it, like a couple of years. He hasn't had a PS4, he doesn't have a PS5, and he still brings up 2013. And I'm like, dude, we are way beyond that. Everything's
Yeah, that was
changed.
a decade ago, bruh.
Right, exactly. And he's like, well, I'm like, it's not the same, dude. What do you don't even know what you're talking about anymore. You're still rehashing stuff. And this is, like I said, this is my brother-in-law, that he's still rehashing stuff. And this is how, because he's not part of the hardcore. You and I consider us elites. We're not hardcore. We're elites because we do more than just game. We're here talking about it with the community. We're here online, interacting and having civil discourse and ideas and opinions, and we learn from each other as well as teach each other, right?
Right.
So I consider us the elites when it comes to this, not elitist like we're above you. We're just more in tune to the gaming industry as a whole, not just as a player, as a reporter, as a community. It's accumulation of everything that we do as gamers. So when it comes to that, thank you, Sour Blow. When it comes to
He
all
loves
that,
that beard. Yeah, let it flow, brother.
so but when it comes to all that, that's where we're finally seeing games pushing out. You have games like Psychonauts, right? Cuphead. I know they're older games, but you're talking about games that innovated. Hollow Knight, they were doing stuff. Dead Cells, they were doing stuff that is going back into, and that's why indies are important. People forget about the indies, and it's like, it's a one and done. It's only going to take me 2 hours. I'd rather bite into the meat of a real game that it's 100 hours, and it's like, okay, it's just like people that play COD or Madden only. You're missing out on a whole bunch of things, but that's cool. That's your narrative. That's what you like. I'm not going to judge you on it. Don't judge other people on enjoying indies. But if it wasn't for the indies, because gaming originally started as indies, if you think about it, the size of the team, the fact that nobody else was doing this before, it was an indie era back then. Now we have, like I said, games that are 100 hours plus, game plus game sessions that you have. Some games even have a game plus plus, and it's like, all right, how many plus pluses can you plus?
No,
Yeah,
Starfield's got me in prison right now, bro. Because I'm just like new game plus 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 plus. I'm literally on my seventh or eighth new game plus in it, and I'm just waiting to get to that triple digit of 100 in Starfield so I can then build kind of like my kind of city
yeah.
ish
M-
kind of.
like with less than a month, somebody had already done 13 plus, and I was like, you guys are insane.
Yeah,
I haven't. I put
magician.
my 8 hours in, and it was because I had to fight for that time to enjoy the game, and I had to, and I was forced to put it down because we had to leave to go do something. So it wasn't like I was forced to put it down because, the wife's nagging me. No, it was because we had responsibilities, so we had to do that. Again, I haven't had a chance to play Forza, and yet the innovation that's behind that engine is miraculous. That's why, again, I want the innovation of the Kinect to come back. I want the innovation that we had with talking to the console that we had back then. So it was cool to do all that stuff. I want that back again, and I understand they're more focused into gaming than the all around thing. I mean, remember Mixer? That was great
Right.
with the integrations that we had. Um,
Is
and
right there.
unfortunately,
I mean,
yeah,
they're kind of doing that with Discord now. They're kind of
yeah,
trying to, and Discord's trying more and more to be like a streaming platform,
right.
is what it kind of seems like they're doing. So that's
And
interesting. A couple things that were in the chat that I just have to go over real quick. Dibs, or Salvador Whitaker said, "Dibs, have you played the campaign yet?" I'm not really sure what he's talking about in particular, but if it's Starfield, you just heard him say that he hasn't got completely through it. If I'm correct,
is he talking about the
he might be talking about
game?
something from before.
He could be talking. Okay, campaign. If he's talking about before, that was probably Call of Duty,
Oh, okay.
because right now they released a campaign, so you can only play the campaign. For the
Have you
I guess
played any of the campaign yet?
no, no, not yet. So I'm waiting around. Again, I have I am a huge fan of Alan Wake. I have not
Oh,
bought Alan Wake 2 yet
oh
because
snap!
I
You busy?
know I am yeah, but that's the thing. I'm so busy right now, right? And we're dwindling down. I have I have a future project coming up that's going to take about a month of my time again, almost another month, right? So think it'll be like 3 weeks of my time dedicated elsewhere. So when I have these projects, it's hard to do something like that. There is a game called Dibs, by the way. So I at first I thought he was talking about that, but
Yeah,
I
yeah. I
believe he's
think that
talking
is
about
what he's
Call of
talking about because he
the
said,
Dibs.
"Dibs, have you played the campaign yet?" And I think that's what he's talking about in particular.
Okay, so if he was talking about that, I want to say it was Call of Duty if it was something that he was talking about before. But hey, either way, thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping in and commenting.
Yeah, shout out to
We love
Rumble
you.
folks. Shout out to the Rumble folks. Make sure you guys hit
Yeah.
that like button and follow over there. And then Sour Blow on this side, on the YouTube side, his comment was, PlayStation has a great lobster meal. The only problem is you can only eat lobster so much. After a while, you need to eat something else. Xbox has the whole buffet for an affordable price. That's a
Yeah.
wonderful way to say it, because it's just like, especially with some of their recent games that they've came out with or remastered, it's just kind of like okay, like sure, Horizon Forbidden West, that's new, right? And it looks better.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Whether you like that or not, that's pretty new. Gran Turismo 7, that's pretty new. God of War, all right, now we're getting into kind of new, right? And then it's like Spider-Man, all right, new. I'd actually put that more on the Forbidden West level of newer. It feels a little bit better, but there's still a lot that reminds you of the previous a little bit, in the sense of, this is new, this is dope, but it's like not like groundbreaking. And
Huh.
then and then the worst of the worst in my opinion. Which some people love it, and I don't blame them if you love it, because I tell you what, if it's my favorite game and they make a remaster of it, I'll probably buy it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just my favorite kind of game. But for like the general population of people playing, I don't know how many people that already beat Last of Us is buying Last of Us again. I don't know how many people that already beat, you know, Uncharted 4 gonna buy that again. You know, I don't know how many people. You can keep saying that
Hmm.
kind of stuff about it, and and that's kind of been the generation so far with the PS5. It's been a lot of part twos or dipping back into what we've done already.
Yeah. And how many times do we need a remaster of a remaster of a remake?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's like, I'm cool with doing it, but I don't need to do it twice or three times in the next, the past two generations. It's like, why? I like the fact that Xbox does their um, kind of the 4K upscaling program for some of the older games. That makes sense because a lot of people were dipping back into those games when they came out. Um, yeah, they didn't make more money, but guess what? For those that didn't buy it before, they're like, "Oh, you know what? I passed on that, but now this is 4K. This has upsampling and some of these other advanced features. Cool. Let's go back do that. The crossplay, the cross save. You know what I mean? All that stuff is huge. And when you're playing a game, I want to play a game that is two generations and older. Bring that back, remaster it a la Resident Evil, right? Do it like that where you fix the tank controls. Because a lot of those games, it was their first foray into the 3D space.
Right.
And you look at Mario 64, that game is great, but it could use a little bit of tweaking, right? You look at the old um, Resident Evil games, they needed so much tweaking. You have games like Silent Hill also that have those tank controls, and was it Onimusha tank controls? You know, was it Dead for Rights where the camera control is reverse, and you're trying to play today with today's standards, and as you
Like
try to
Siphon
go,
Filter.
yeah, Siphon Filter. I've been asking for that game to come back. That's an old game that needs to come back. So calm, bring something like that back from the dead. Not back himself, but the games. Love that guy. But again, bring those games back, right? Because my daughter doesn't know Siphon Filter. Is she going to be able to play Siphon Filter on the OG Xbox, on the OG PlayStation?
Right.
Yeah, she can. But the controls are what's going to throw her off, right?
Everything just feels dated about it.
Yeah,
Everything.
yeah. Minecraft looks dated, but it's today's quality of life controls. That's what I want. I want all that stuff. Yes, I see you. She's all cheering because I called her out. Um, but that's the thing. We want those older games to come back for the next generation to enjoy because we're talking about games. I bring up brute force, right? And I
Mhm.
haven't brought it up in a while. Eternal Shide brought it up in a conversation in one of the podcasts, and people were like, "Oh my god, I completely forgot about that game." Yes,
Yeah, classic Xbox
it's
game
it's
right
a
there.
classic game that needs to come back, and it was a good game. It could have done better, yeah. But again, these are games that were back in those days that didn't have the level of development that we have now in controls, right? Crazy Taxi, yeah, no problem. You only need one joystick, but guess what? If you have two joysticks, you can actually control the camera a little bit better and try to figure out while you're steering what's going on, right? There's so much more going on that we could do. You need to make it two generations and older. Um, and anything last gen, just bring it up to this gen by some tweaks. Don't charge me a whole arm and a leg for all this stuff. Where's that innovation? There is no innovation there. And that's where they need to do, where Xbox has done and pushed those innovations little by little. And I'm going to give them props where it's due. But when you listen to the community too much, right? And this is one of the things that the devs and Xbox have failed. My wife loved what I just blanked out on the game. I can picture We Happy Few, right? She played the demo, loved it. People gave them so much feedback that they followed the feedback of the game to finish making the game, right? Game is nothing what it was. The premise of what it was is no longer there. It failed. It was a decent game, but because they changed it so much, it failed. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing is they had
They
something.
almost did that with Halo, right?
Right. And again, Redfall, they did not do the quality control that they needed to do. So those different games have their own faults. Halo was another one that they didn't have quality control. Granted, I would have played it the first showing that they showed us. I would have played it as is because I'm a huge Halo fan. I would have just loved it. But I'm also not looking 5 miles down, to 300 miles into a cavern of a rock on a mountain and be like,
With
oh,
30
that grass
times
just popped
zoom
up.
and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
the grass just popped up. Oh, we have too much pop up. It's distracting. Bull. The whole 30 frames a second. I understand when you're playing the game, it's a little different than when you're watching. But guess what? How come movies don't give you a headache? You're watching movies and TV at 24 frames a second.
24, yeah.
But I do know when it comes to some people, there is some issues, right? There are some people, we have members in the community with family members that cannot watch them play at 30 frames a second. And I think it's part of it is because you have the stationary piece here where the weapon is, and everything else is going 30, and it's throwing them off. Where when you're watching a movie, that stationary piece doing this, is not there. So I give them a little bit of acknowledgement that it could be messing with them, right? But on the whole, a lot of the community are like, Redfall's unplayable. I can't play it. Really? But you're playing Zelda, right? Zelda is the masterpiece, but you can play that at 30 and you have no issues. So who's lying? You know what I mean?
I mean,
Got to keep it 100.
I'm gonna have to give you a little bit of pushback though. Redfall was broken.
No. Don't get me wrong. It was broken, but they're saying 30 frames a second broke it.
Oh no,
Okay.
no! That game was far beyond the 30 FPS being the
Right.
issue.
Yeah. So there's no disagreement here. We're on the same page.
Okay.
I played with Silent Cypher and Retri and a few other people. And we were playing, and there was glitches left and right where people's legs weren't moving. We're in the home base and they're just gliding across. You know what I mean?
Right.
So again, did it break the game? No. Did it break the immersion? Yeah, because we're laughing at each other. We had one sequence where we loaded up in in one of the home bases where we kept on doing the death sequence. You would hear and then we would all fall. And then we'd get back up. And then we would all fall. That was in one of the home bases. Okay, cool. We got out. It cleared itself up. So we laughed it off. I made a short out of it. We laughed at it. It didn't kill the game. It didn't ruin the game. There were other things that were valid that ruined the game. But 30 frames per second, little glitches like that, we were laughing. We weren't like, oh my God, this is so unplayable. I mean, yeah, we were joking that in those terms. But you look at the community members and they're like, oh my God, look at the graphics on here. Well, you're playing a YouTube video at 144p. Yeah, the graphics look like crap. Why don't you play it at 4K? It totally changes how it looks. When they usually stream it, they stream it at 1080p, and sometimes a lot of those games don't look as clean. But after the program's over, they release it at 4K. Oh, look at that trailer. Look at that in-game action, it looks beautiful. We're not watching it at 144p, and that's the whole thing that what I'm talking about with narratives. You're going to zoom in on this at 144p. Yeah, of course, it's going to look like crap, but yet you're going to high res the competition, and again, it falls on both sides. It's not one or the other; it's both sides that do it. I just wish they would stop doing it and be honest. But that's the
100%.
thing, that we need to have more innovation in games to push past all of this stuff, right? Starfield was a great innovation. Forza, the tech that they have, great innovation. I brought up earlier Psychonauts, gameplay and the storytelling, great innovation. We could be on that next forefront of innovation when it comes to this, because Microsoft is letting Xbox make their games however they want. They're not forcing them, right? Remember Rare with all those Kinect games? They were being forced to make those. And Rare was given the reins to make whatever game they wanted. And they said, I don't want to make Banjo-Kazooie. And I know a lot of people like Boom have an issue with that. They want Banjo-Kazooie. And I know there's a lot more people in the community that don't want it. But guess what? My daughter loves playing Banjo-Kazooie.
I was going to say they need that joint.
I'm going to support Banjo and Kazooie because that's what my daughter loves. I want games for my daughter to be able to play and enjoy. I want games for the next generation to be able to push this, because we don't have them. We're not going to have anything in the future.
Why do you think Nintendo's so dominant?
That's exactly it. That's why
they keep those kid games pumping.
And now you look at innovation there, right? We're looking at 4K and let's call it 8K on the box, false advertisement. But you look at the innovation that they're putting in high graphics. You're talking about these powerful machines that can render individual pixels and blocks and stuff like that. And now we're connecting to cloud for cloud computing. Games like Microsoft Flight Simulator, right? So stuff like that are using these tools to enhance the games. What is Nintendo doing? None of that. Nintendo is being innovative in other ways. The way that the controller,
homebody swag.
I got 3 ice cubes in this simulated piece of glass. I've got 3 ice cubes. You know what I mean? So you can tell how many ice cubes are pouring out. They're doing more when it comes to innovation outside the box of typical gaming. Oh wait, a lot of their games are spot on, almost perfect out the door. Limited glitches, right? Limited bugs. Why don't we have that going on now? We have games that launch, Redfall, looking at you, that shouldn't have been launched the way that they were.
Facts.
We have games like Forza, and I'm going to call it out, that yes, certain modes were not there on the original game, but certain modes were. You know what the funny part was? At 5-6 years old, she was playing Forza Motorsport 5. She was playing 6, 7. She was playing all those games, right? Obviously, at age 5, I gave her all the bumps, all the assists, made the game easy. I did all that. Mind you, I had her race a friend of mine. She beat him, right? She was enjoying it. Split screen, she was enjoying it. And that is where they faltered, is removing split screen from these games. Halo was always split screen. Why don't we have it now? Why did they pull it? Oh, because we didn't design it that way. Well, we're going to design it for the next one. Well, where is it? Right? It took forever. Well, now that we have co-op campaign, I have yet to go back and beat it on Legendary. You know what I mean? Because I waited to beat that with friends.
Right.
Its time has passed. Right? So, yeah, the multiplayer part has made a resurgence. That's awesome. But where's this platform? We were told that, even interviewing Steve Downs, He didn't give any secrets away, but he kind of I was able to get that it's a platform. So basically, you build a base game just like you do a multiplayer game, but you add to it, right? So it makes it easier for all this DLC for more campaigns, more stories to just launch off of this same map slash expanded map, right? We could play the campaign if we wanted to as ODST. Yeah, it's going to ramp up the level, you know. But that would be an idea, you know. That would be great to see expansions of these games and being able to, like, okay, well, now we're going to play as the Arbiter, and we're going to come down and fight as the Arbiter, not as Master Chief. That was the whole intention of this platform. They failed. You know, there was so much promise behind it. They failed. You know, and that's kind of the issue we have is we want to see that innovation that they promised us that we would have. Where is it? It's not. You know, you have games that are from developers that are third party that are doing more. We should have.
Yeah, that's not good.
And yeah, obviously they're not using the tools that were developed to make it easier for them, right? But neither are the first party developers. They should be, you know, and that's the thing with Sony. They were able to push these games and you know, whether you like them or not, they made these games beautiful, right? They made these games memorable because of the storytelling, because of the graphics, because of the control. They made it because they put their heart and soul into it, blood, sweat, and tears, literally. You know, if you listen to some of the stuff that they had done behind the scenes, but they put every ounce that they could into these games to make them good. Now, when you look at Xbox, you kind of question, did they do that with Halo? Yeah, maybe some people. What happened with the rest? Where's the rest of the innovation that they were planning out? We don't know. Now there's rumors that there's going to be a new Halo. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and this one was supposed to be a whole 10-year thing, and that.
Yeah, and so what happened? Are we slowly shifting part of that because they were talking about using the Unreal Engine? Are we slowly shifting from there to the Unreal to help mitigate some of these issues with the original engine that they, or not the original, it's what, the third iteration that they used to build this? I know they're using, because they started using Unreal Engine in Master Chief Collection too to help mitigate some of the issues with the old engine. You know, so
I did not know that. So no. You're not getting away without talking a little bit more about this. I want to know the history a little bit behind Unreal Engine and Halo. Is there any history there already?
No, but yes. Now they're using it for not for the gameplay as of right now. They're using it for 3-Bit was explaining it. They were using it for the like the menus. They're incorporating it in there. And as far as I know, oh crud, I just got NDA'd. I can't talk about it no more.
Yeah, sure.
No,
you running away, sucker.
So no, but they were using it in conjunction with it. Like I said, with three. This is my recollection from what 3-Bit was telling me. Hey, what's going on, Dusty Uno? This what he was talking about was like they're using it for menus. They haven't really gone into it for other things, but that was the because they are using it for certain parameters. I don't want to say too much and say it wrong. I don't want, you know, but again, it's certain things that they're putting in there. They're using it, like I said, mostly for menus to help create that. So I don't, you know, think about it. You're paying somebody to use their tech when you've already paid somebody twice, is 3 times to create your own tech.
Right. That's crazy.
You know what I mean? And that's very weird. So it's a very limited capacity. But again, it's something that they did in the Master Chief Collection, and the rumors are that this is where it's going with the next stuff. But again, everybody's been talking about Unreal Engine 5 being like the next thing everywhere. It's
I
the
want
next
to know,
biggest thing since sliced bread.
do you think Unreal Engine 5 is the right way for Halo? Because I've been hearing a lot of, I've been hearing it on both sides where like big time Halo fans are like, no, I want to stay on the creation engine. And then I'm not going to lie, people like myself are like, yo, if you can innovate, I'm all for innovation. If you can make it better somehow, let's go. I don't give a damn. How do you feel about that?
Ironically, we're not using one engine when it comes to games. There are many engines. You got the physics engine, you have this engine, you got that engine. There are so many engines that they're using in conjunction with the Halo's engine. Forgot what it's called now. But anyway,
Halo's engine, Slipspace.
yeah, yes, thank you, Slipspace. But they're using many engines. It's always been that. You're not using one thing. Okay, so you're using, typically one is in control of the others. There are many different engines, so you can create your own physics engine, or you can just use the physics engine and bring that in. So would it be simpler to use
So
physics?
it's kind of like plugins almost, like to an app.
They kind of use it like a plug-in. They use, again, this is where AI is like a tool to use. This is an engine as a tool to use for this thing, and now you have to make your engine integrate with that engine to make it work. Or do you make your own version of that engine, right? So are you going to make your own physics engine? You look at right now with Dead Island remaster coming into Game Pass, right? They had all these new engines that they've developed. The sound engine for the 3D audio space, they've been doing that since 2013 on Xbox. 3D audio space has been a thing that they've been doing. These I watched these dev more of a dev talk about the technology that they're using and how different structures will echo and reverberate around corners, right? So if you have a mossy green rock, it's not going to echo as much as a solid slab or like wood would do, you know what I mean? Or sheetrock going around that corner, the echo and the sound location that it's generated from are different. So this is stuff that they were doing way back when in the early 200s. And I watched all this stuff, it was interesting to see, but again, we're not using the tools, so now you have Dead Space that are actually creating their own tools like this too. So would you use Microsoft's old tool, or do you create your own? That was the choice that they had to make. They had to figure out what they were going to do. The same thing with the weapons and the tearing apart. You look at Dead Island versus on how when you bash somebody and you rip out a rib cage, the clothing is ripped, the guts are spilling out, right? And then you look at Dead Space with the gun, and things are disintegrating and burning and being cooked or like ripped away. Each one of those things are something different. They do the same thing in their own way, relative to what that game is about and how they do it. So it's time and money. Which way do you go? Do you spend the money or do you spend the time? So when it comes to all this, the way I look at it is whatever the devs deem necessary. If they deem that they need to use Unreal Engine 5 for all of it, part of it, even just menus or whatever, I don't care. Whatever makes the game enjoyable, right? And part of the game is going through the menus. Part of the game, especially when it comes to multiplayer, going through the menus, creating the maps, creating the weapon types, creating the game type. all that stuff needs to be accessible and easy to understand and easy to navigate. So if you can't navigate through it, how are you going to understand what you're trying to do?
Right.
So it has to be whatever's best for that game, because the menu for Starfield is not the same menu for Halo. You know, you're going to go from Forza Horizon to Forza Motorsport to, I don't know, let's go back to Psychonauts, or let's go third party and go with Vampire Survivors, right? Totally different menus, totally different setups. So the whatever's best for the game. I don't want to sit there and try to figure out, okay, I want to play this map and do it a la Halo to play Vampire Survivors. Or I don't want to, do the same thing for Motorsport. Whatever best suits the game and makes sense, right? And again, we're going to have some people that don't understand the mentality behind navigation. Now, when I say navigation, give me one. When I say navigation, I mean through the menus, right? You have games that on our side, the navigation is easy, right? On the dev side, they have to figure out how to make that easy for us, right? But let's apply it to Apple and Android. Some people can understand the mentality behind how Apple operates. Some people cannot. Some people understand how Android operates. A lot of Apple users cannot. So I've seen a lot of Apple users go to Android and then go right back to Apple. And I've seen it vice versa, because a lot of it is the navigation.
I'm one of those that went that I'm Android, and I went to Apple for one time, and I turned right back to Droid because I was just like, I don't know, like things. And the thing is once I got my Android back, I realized the Apple wasn't that bad. I was just tripping.
But how do you go back? You open something up. How do you go back? There's no back button.
Right.
So you're looking down below. There's no back button. You just have a single button in the center.
It's that first impression. It's that first impression syndrome, kind of.
It's the mental state that you're at with the knowledge of training of this device, right? And again, it's your mentality is different. There are, and it's not a bad thing, right? It's just some people are wired a certain way, some people are wired a different way. That's why Android and Apple appeal to different people. And there's no wrong way. I deal with Apple all the time. I have an Android phone, right? I have to work with my Apple phone daily. I have to do that daily. My daily driver is my Android. So for me, it at first it was like, what's going on? And I still get every once in a while, something pops up and it's a little different because they changed something. It's like, all right, what do I do here? So it's just like, now that I know like certain shortcuts, you can shut it down and then start it over. Certain things just don't function the same, and it's all it is the navigation, right? So when it comes to whether or not to use Unreal Engine, let them figure it out. Whatever they need, if they need to use it for the whole game, cool. But let them do it on how they want to do it, right? And that's part of the other issue I have. They are the artist. I'm not going to tell anybody how to paint the Mona Lisa, right? The Mona Lisa is the Mona Lisa. It is what it is. You like it, you don't. Her lips are thin, or they're just enough, whatever. Cool. But you're not going to tell the artist, you know what? You should go back there and make her lips red and make them fuller, because that's today's age. You can't do that. Let them make the game that they want to make. And if they falter by not including things like disability access and stuff like that, right? Like accessibility, right? So if they don't do that, that's fine. That's on them, right? And they will get called out for it. But you can't force them to do something, right? I can't force them to say, hey, I'm in a wheelchair and I want to run game, or the was it the Wii Fit, and I want that balance board so I can put my wheelchair on there. How safe is that? You can't force them to do something like that that's outside the parameters. So again, I want them to be able to experience the games like we do. And there are some people that don't use the accessibility options, that literally there's many people that are playing fighting games and kicking ass, right?
Right.
They blow me out of the water, and they can't even see the game. They play by audio cues, and it's like, holy cow, they know where they're at all times by the audio cue. And we have friends that play one-handed, right? And they're playing, and they're beating games. They got 1,000 of 1,000, and meantime, I got a measly 10, 20, maybe 35 achievements, and they've already beat the game within a week, one-handed. You know what I mean? So again, it's let the artists do their thing. You know, um, you're not going to tell Prince that he can't sing "Purple Rain" the way that he did it, and he should do it a different way, right?
No doubt. Shout out to Prince. That was a dope artist right there.
Yes,
Um,
he's extremely talented person. Was
yeah,
I still
unfortunately.
consider him is, but yeah, yes,
Yeah,
he's
he was
extremely
he was a
talented.
dope brother. But now I wanted to kind of merge into the next subject before we have to start to get ready to get up out of here, because I know you got some stuff that you got to take care of towards
Eh, I,
for the
put
rest
them
of
on
your
hold.
night. And I just and as well as I want to be able to respect the people's time that's watching this and whatnot.
Yes.
So how did you kind of find yourself getting into content creation? So I'm kind of curious about that now.
Uh well, same crew that we've been around. That I used to play Halo and this and that. We, getting around. We were drag racing cars, building, engines and tuning and all this stuff that we were doing. Um, we were getting into YouTube, and I brought up earlier that I was acting. Um, so I'm a professional actor at one point in time, paid, and um, I was always, with that, always wanted to do skits. And so I was throwing it to my buddies. Hey, we should do some skits, because we have some funny stuff that we talk about when we're playing games and other things, and we act out stuff. And it was just not any LARPing or anything like that, but it was just stuff that we would play around with, and clown on each other and just have a good time. So, it was like, hey, we should do this. And it's like, all right, but I don't know anything about YouTube. I don't know, like, I don't know the camera gear we got to get and this. So trying to figure, and it's like, I'm saying I don't know what questions to ask, right? So what question should I ask? I don't know. Um, Going from that, and talking with other friends on, oh, this would be a cool skit. We had one, and I've been given permission to do it, and it's just it's a hard piece, because one of our friends that was part of this idea for a skit slash series has passed away. So I feel like it would be a disservice to this person to continue on, and I've lost touch with the original idea guy that we ran through. But I would be playing two characters. And I imagine me dressed up as a prison guard, right?
Okay.
Nice, neat ponytail. And in each scene, it would be, different characteristics going on in different situations. And our friend was the warden that had passed away. And obviously I was the number two guy for the whole thing. But then there's a character that is like savage that everybody's scared of. I would play that part too. And there would be those innuendos like, wait a second,
Right. Where it's
Same
like,
guy?
hold on, I
Like,
just seen him.
yeah, so there would be those innuendos where we leave it to the audience to, like, question, like, because I would change my appearance up. Obviously, I'd, be a savage beast of a human and doing something like that. So, so when you're talking about stories like that and fleshing this stuff out and trying to figure out how to do this, but yet I don't know how to do YouTube. I don't know what we need. And it's like I just know we need a microphone, we need this, we need that. And it's like, okay, well, with me doing stage stuff, we need this, we need that, but I don't know the tech part of it on how to put it together. I don't know, lack of knowledge and lack of knowledge of what to ask to gain knowledge was a huge hurdle for us. You know what I mean? So we're just a whole bunch of kids trying to figure it out, and it just kind of died off. And I've been pushing. Hey, we should do this. We should do skits. We should do this. We should do that. Trying to do something, and I'm giving you more of a backstory because I've sort of told some of the story before, but I'm giving you a little bit more that I've ever. So again, you're getting more than anybody else has gotten about this part of the story.
Let's go.
So, my friends, just we just started, just like everything, with adult life, friends move. So, one friend moves across the state, another moves out of state, and another one that we still talk to, but don't have as much in common to constantly keep in touch. But we keep in touch in text messages and stuff like that. And so all right, cool. So I go visit my friend on the other side of the state. We have a thing with Star Wars, so every Star Wars release, we've been since the prequels, we've gone and watched them together. So I'd always go over there, and we go to the theater that they had because it was a really cool IMAX 3D sound and all that crap. I look over and he's got a Blue Yeti. I'm like, what's that? Oh, it's a Blue Yeti. I'm like, no shit, I know what that is. What is that? Oh, well, the three of us. What happened to the fourth? What happened to the fourth? Right? The three of us, we're doing a podcast. Oh, really?
Damn.
Really? So, yeah.
How about it? Tell me about it.
Yeah. Right? So, I mean, it's just like, you left me out. I'm the one that's been pushing for this, pushing to do something, trying to get onto YouTube, trying to do this, trying to do that. And I'm the one left out. So, yeah, hurt feelings and everything. And these are my best friends. And it's like, what happened here? How did this even happen? I know we're apart, but we're still playing games. And yet you guys are playing games, talking of Call of Duty weapons. Unfortunately for them, the podcast failed. It just, they weren't able to make something out of it. The one went on to doing some other stuff and doing a podcast there where they're successful. The other one is one of the other guys has joined in with them every once in a while as a special guest. So again, successful. The third guy, he's doing his own thing, right? So with all that, my hurt feelings, I was like, you know what? I'll do without you. So in a way, I still have to thank them for it, because if it wasn't for them, not really backstabbing me, they just did their own thing. It wasn't like they're like, leave them out. They just did their own thing because I guess, they didn't think I'd be into it, and whatever. It is what it is. But I got to thank them for it because they pushed me to drive to do more. And I was already into this community a little bit more. So it pushed more. And then when Boom had a Breakfast Boom, he had a falling out with, not a falling out, but a lot of no-shows, right? So a lot of the people that were scheduled to show up, everybody bailed. So here I am, a listener, and I go, hey, this is probably going to be my only chance to like get into this stuff, at least with this part of the community without, and I didn't want to see Boom fail. I didn't, we can't not have a show. It's Breakfast Boom. We got to have a show. So I messaged them. I said, hey, I'm at work, but I could take an extra long lunch break, or early, and then longer than normal. and I'll do what I can to help you out because I don't want to see this fall apart. And at that time, he'd also Italian Clowns had contacted him. So he responds back. He's like, "Hey, it's okay, brother. Italian Clowns reached out. I'll have him. We'll just do a 2-man show." I was like, "All right, all right." He's like, I just to let you know, I just didn't want you to not have a show. I just wanted to help out. You know, all right, I'm cool with that. It is what it is. He's like, "You know what? Why don't you just come on anyway?" And that's how this all started because
And
of,
that's how Boom is.
you know what I mean? So again, that's why
Very
I try to
inviting.
pass it forward to the next people. I've always been positive, but I always want to make sure that the next people um, also get those opportunities. So I've done the same thing with breakfast. I'm sorry, Breaking Bread with Dread. That I've interviewed a couple people. I got one of them on a podcast. They no longer podcast, but I got them on a podcast. They were on there for a while, and they were doing pretty good. It's just life gets in the way, and they didn't have a chance. I've interviewed other people, and since then they've been on other podcasts too. Some of them have not done so well, but that's why I moved on from just people in our community. I've done more so as personalities. So I've reached out. I've gone to TikTok and done interviews. I have another set of friends that I did their interview and just posted. They're the most recent ones that I posted this year, and they do board games. So again, not gaming like we look at it, but it's gaming in general. And again, they're a personality. And that was the beauty of it, was this is about personalities. I wanted to open it up to be more than just essentially focused on a certain thing, because again, it's in person. I don't have the, with my format, I don't have the opportunity to be like, hey, let's do this, because I can't. You know what I mean? It has to be in person. I have to be able to travel. Um, Steel Rain, he traveled halfway and met me in the middle of nowhere. Right? We both met up in the middle of Florida down this one little lane road. And I'm like, oh my God, this does not look safe. And I'm like, I can't, and he still showed up, and we did our podcast right there. And we had vehicles driving down this road right past us because it was a place called Nowhere. That was the name of it, Nowhere.
That's fantastic.
And it
Nowhere,
was
Florida.
literally
That's perfect.
off the highway, off another road. And it was, where are we? Like, I found a place and had good reviews, and again, we sat down, we had a great talking with, and,
That's
whether or
awesome.
not I had any influence, I'd like to think that I gave him some push to do stuff. It's all on him. He did it all himself because he was doing something with his brother, and it was just not working. And I was like, I think you should just keep pushing, whether it's with him or not. And I don't know if it stuck with him, or if it's just something that went in one ear, not the other, and he still made his choice. And look at him now with Pong So
Yeah.
and Living Split Screen, and they're doing great. So
Yeah,
again,
they're doing real good.
I want to make sure that I can bring people, if I can, and be a positive influence, whether I'm here doing interviews like this, or I'm doing my show, or we're doing somebody else's show as a guest on a panel. I want to bring that positive influence and say that, yeah, you can do it. Everybody's going to have their own way. And again, my thing is completely different. It is, in the pandemic, it was doomed to fail, and people loved it. So, and again, it's really hard to do with scheduling. My friends that they're called the nerdy weds, right? It took me almost a year to schedule them because of our, if it was online, I would have had them no time. But
Right.
you
But
know,
you like to do the in-person thing, so
in-person thing, and here's Back from the Dead. We've done it twice in a row. This past year, back to back, no pun intended. But with his wife Blondie, we did it, and then we did one last year. So this year, when he came back in town, I met up with them. We did a a show, and then we're like, the next day I was still around in town, and I said, well, you want to go eat again? We'll do another one. We'll just do a shorter piece. And I still have to edit this piece, and until I can edit it, it's just sitting there on the computer waiting to be published. Again, too busy to do stuff. So at least I was able to meet up with them, make time, and stuff like that. But it's not easy in person, but you want to have those influences. I didn't have that influence. My influence getting in was, again, more of a payback, like, haha, I'm gonna do this without you. But I have to thank them for it, and then boom, pushed me on, set the example, and I try to do that also for everybody else, so that's why I always give him his props for what he's done. And then many years later, I've become part of the panel.
Yep. And now, since we ended up in this specific spot that you led me, I'm now gonna ask you, before we break off to the what I like to call the quick hitter questions.
Okay.
Is I want you to go on ahead and let everybody know the people that are responsible for helping you become who you've become through content creation and as a game. Just for more or less giving thanks.
Okay, there's too many people to thank, because everybody has had a piece, whether they realize it or not. They've all had a piece of involvement for my growth, right? What? Yes. Oh yeah, the wife. First of all, the wife for giving me the support and giving me.
You better do that.
Yeah.
You about to get hurt.
On camera, I'm about to get hurt. But yeah, again, I got to thank the wife, the family, those two. So Death Dealer and Tiny Giant have given me the opportunities to be able to do stuff like this, right? They've given me the support to go out there and do stuff like Breaking Bread and so forth, and many other things that we're doing now with the channel. We've done interviews, and we're doing reviews of haunted houses and our thoughts and unboxings, and my wife is helping out with that. My daughter's trying to do stuff like that, but she's a little too young, so I'm trying to keep her like mitigated on a lot of things for her exposure, because we know how some people are when it comes to children. So I'm trying to protect her, but I'm trying to give her own thing to do. So we'll actually record, but I don't post any of that stuff. So this way she feels included also. Again, it's all about promotion, the next generation, and kind of going from there, right? Obviously, boom, I got to thank the Iron Lords, King David, Cognito. Those two are the most prevalent of the Iron Lords that I talk to, and nothing against the rest of the guys. I love the rest of the guys, but those are like the most two prevalent, because those are the ones that I see in the podcasts in other places that I've been podcasting with, and they've also both have given me a lot of love and support, and loved the idea of Breaking Bread because of the way that it's totally unique. And they even said, nobody's doing this. Nobody's doing anything like what you're doing. So when you see stuff like that, you got to thank them. One of the bigger, obviously Wilmy Hood, and the crew there, I got to give them props. Everybody that's come and gone. Husk is one of them, because he was editing my videos for a while. He was doing the stitching for the stuff that I couldn't do.
I haven't seen anything from him in a long time.
He's keeping to himself right now. He's making head down and trying to achieve his goals.
Yeah, I remember he was looking for a specific job before.
Yes, yeah. So he's got some stuff that he's like I said, he's head down, looking at his specific goals and aiming for it. So he's trying not to get sidetracked from what his objectives are, which is why he had to back out from helping me edit some of my videos. So, but I gotta thank him. Fork is another mentor that helped out. But one of the the ones that I definitely cannot leave out, and this is the one that really helped boost me, right? So this is why I'm leaving him for last. But again, like I said, there's so many people that have helped each in their own unique way that a lot of people don't even realize that they helped me out in one way or the other, right? But this guy here has helped me out a lot. Yeah, we've from podcasting my first podcast with him to doing Breaking Bread and with Dreads many times with him. It's Italian Clowns, Carlo, or GQ TV, right?
Yes, talk about
Um, so again, everybody's helped, but Carlo has really delved in to help me with bringing me as a tag along to these conventions. So we're doing conventions. I technically work for 4GQ TV at that time and get content for him, and then he allows me to keep some of the content that I get. So we share some of my stuff, and some of my stuff I get to keep. So between content, stuff like that, he had me come in doing interviews with Steve Downs, what I mentioned earlier. I did the interview with him. He had asked me to come on and help do the interview. So if it wasn't for that opportunity, I wouldn't have never been able to talk to Steve Downs. And this past con that we went to, he was there, and we talked to him, and he literally remembered me because I had brought up where Steve Downs promised me that we would do a Breaking Bread with Dread in the future, but he was pushing Halo at the time, so he couldn't do it. He said with all the promotions. So I said, no problem. I know the rough whereabouts where he lives down here when he does live down this way. And I told him a restaurant, and I told him where to go, and this and that. We'll do it there. And he when I met up with him again, he remembered it and was like, yeah, Dreadpool. You know what I mean? It's like, holy
that's
cow.
amazing, right?
Steve Downs remembers me, even though it's been over a year that we've talked.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he only saw my logo. So I'm walking around with my logo. And then when I mention it, he's like, that's you. Because now he sees my face, and I always have my, my Dreadpool logo. That one. So, stuff like that. It's always cool that when people bring you in when they don't have to, right? So we just did an interview with Bill Slevin, which is a ghost investigator. So he goes out and tries to help people. He's not a ghost hunter where they're like, oh my God, it's a ghost. One of those things where they're like, oh, what's that sound? No, he doesn't play those kind of games.
Does he have like the whole kit and everything?
He's got all the kit. He's done actual demon possessions where he's done the exorcisms. He's been part of that. Crazy. So so he's honest. He's legit. So being brought in with interviews for other creators, we did Savon Hewlett, we did Kelsey, what's her name? Anyway, she was on Netflix. She's got a show on Netflix. You know what I mean? So we're doing all these actors and actresses and directors. My wife was brought in. I was supposed to do with the guy that did Terrifier. He goes by Uncle Creepy. What's his name? Anyway, but I was supposed to do it, right? I couldn't do it, so I brought my wife in. She got to interview him. You know what I mean? When you get these, and you get these opportunities, and he's given me more opportunities. And not saying that anybody hasn't given me any opportunities or any of that stuff, but how many of us can say that we're a published photographer? This guy. He brought me on to a Baby Metal / Deathlock concert. We walk up. I'm just thinking I'm there to hold the gear and kind of like, tag along. The guy walks up to us and he's got the bands. He's like, okay, who's the photographer? He's like, this guy is. Me? So,
Oh shit,
hold
that's
my
crazy.
cool. Yeah, I hold my cool, get my bands on, and as we're walking around, I'm like, hey, why'd you say I'm the photographer? You're the one that.
Right.
He's like, you're taller. I'm like, oh, okay. So it literally took 1,000, give or take a few, pictures between my phone, his camera. I even brought my 360 camera out there to try to get like different angles and shots and everything. So mind you, it's Baby Metal, the edge of the stage, me, the speakers, security, the front gates, and then the fans. Right?
Right.
I'm right there where I could just reach up and touch the girl. Right? And just jamming out. And like I said, Baby Metal, whether you like them or not, to each their own, right? Rob Zombie even said, hey, you know what? As long as they love metal, who cares? They're the reason why they're called Baby. Have you heard of them before?
Mm-mm.
Okay, they are a Japanese metal band. So they are literally playing, metal, and you're talking about hardcore. But then you got the, and they're doing all the cutesy poses and stuff, and it's 3 Japanese ladies, doing their little poses.
That
And
sounds insane,
dude. It's look it up. Look up chocolate. For those that don't understand, look up chocolate baby metal. Okay, and it's insane. Out of all that 1,000 pictures, we had to submit 24. 5 of them got published. That's not bad. I wouldn't have that opportunity if it wasn't for Carlo. You know what I mean? So
shout out to clowns, man.
yeah, exactly. So when it comes to all that, again, throughout the time, everybody's helped each in their own way. Boom has given me the exposure, and friendships and everything that that we can ever ask for. Same thing with Wilmyhood. With Game Beyond the Box and everything that we do. You're giving me exposure by doing this interview. Asking me on. Same thing. Dusty Uno did the same thing. We had a few other people do these interviews, giving me exposure. And that's why I'm happy. Anytime anybody asks, I'm happy to talk to them because it's an honor to be asked. And people think, I'm too good for this. And it's like, no, you're not.
No,
Nobody's
you're not.
You know what I mean? And that's the way I look at it.
That's what let me having the interview with Seamus Blackley really opened my eyes to none of y'all are too good. Ain't none of y'all too good for shit.
Right.
And I'm sitting here because I'm seeing these people like, oh, we interviewed Phil Spencer and we interviewed, which is dope. Don't get me wrong, but Seamus was the original Phil back in the day. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm interviewing people that created consoles and stuff like that, I'm not finna take nobody putting their nose up at me.
Yeah. You see, and that's the whole thing with growth. You start small and then you reach out. Right now I'm trying to reach out to a certain creator that's 5 mil. Hopefully it works, but he hasn't responded. And I know it's not because he thinks he's too good. He's a down to earth person. It's just when you have so many people watching your stuff across all your content
and messaging,
it gets lost in the shuffle. And I don't have his direct email. I found an address for a P.O. box and I sent letters there. Have not heard back. I've made a couple comments on some shorts. Have not heard back. And I don't hold any animosity to him that he feels like he's any better than I am. He's not, and he doesn't feel that way. I know for the fact that he doesn't. He just hasn't seen it. And that's the other thing. When you get so big that people think that oh, you see me like a little fry. No, we don't. Some of us don't. You get lost in the shuffle, and it's not like we try to do that on purpose. We're not. And that's, like I said, when um we haven't talked in for how long? We've been around each other for how long?
Yeah.
And it's you just get lost in the shuffle, and there's no animosity to any of it. It's just, it is what it is. And sometimes it's like, oh yeah, this and that. Life gets in the way, life gets busy, and there's no hard feelings with anything. We're still friends, we're still brothers. There is none of that stuff that people make up. And that's why, again, a lot of people have a lot of influence that you don't realize that in the end have influence. I watched one creator do an outro, and as he's talking about doing these videos and creating them, it dawned on him after about a year of doing this outro. His outro literally is a Malcolm in the Middle outro. And he had no clue. He was inspired by the show because he loved the show, and had no clue that what he created was literally his version of a ripoff, or an influence, depending on how you look at it, of the show. So you never know who influences you. So when you got to give thanks, that's why I say it's so hard. I try to be honest about it. A lot of people are like, oh, it's only this person, and I've helped people out, and I got no thanks. And I'm like, that kind of hurts. You've called out all these other people that are toxic in the community that helped you, but yet people that I know helped you, including myself, didn't get any thanks. That's hurtful. But I'm not going to sit there and be like, you should have given me thanks, man. You should have given me my props. No, it is what it is. Maybe, we feel like we helped somebody more than we actually did. Maybe they didn't think we helped them out as much as we thought we did. We bend over backwards for some people. So we have to keep that in mind, that sometimes it's an oversight. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you think you did more than you actually did. And it's just one of those things. It's just whatever you said went in one ear and out the other, and they never listened. One of my best friends never listens to me, ever. Our other friend says the same thing I said, and then he finally does what I said. So it's like, sometimes it is what it is. You know what I mean? So again, like I said, the three props I'd have to give mainly would be Wilmy, Boom, because I'm on both of their podcasts, and Carlo, because of all the stuff that I do with 4GQ TV. He's even given my wife a platform to do her own show. You know what I mean? So, and
That's special.
So when you have somebody like that, that's why, I gotta, I had to hold him off to the last and explain that there's so much more that he's done that he probably doesn't even realize, but he's done a lot in real life, not just online.
No doubt, brother. All right. Well, now we're at the point of the show where I like to do these quick hitter questions.
Alrighty.
So, in these, pretty simple. A lot of them come from what I sent you in the template.
Yep.
So I want to know what your most favorite console was as a kid, or let me stretch that out all the way up from when you first started playing to the let me say the Xbox PlayStation 2 generation.
Okay.
Between those.
Well, now you're really gonna throw me off a little bit. When it comes to that, when I think of retro, I think up until Dreamcast, and Dreamcast is like one of the number ones because of everything that we could do. Sony was a close second, but now that you're including the next gen, I'd have to say Xbox, because of the innovations that they put out there with the hard drive, putting the music on there, networking,
Damn right.
LAN parties. I mean, I literally changed a LAN party from a PC LAN party to an Xbox Halo party. I literally changed it by bringing Halo. One of those friends was a heavy Tomb Raider guy, PlayStation. He looked at Halo, played it that night, right? None of us played any PC games that we all brought our PCs for. I brought Halo. We all took turns playing on a split screen. He went home the next day, traded in everything PlayStation that he had, got Halo, got Xbox, and then the very next weekend we met up. We had 2 Xboxes, 2 copies of Halo. The next thing you know, another person bought Halo, another person bought Halo, you know what I mean? So here we are LAN partying. At one point in time, I actually had a LAN party, a 16-person LAN party in my garage. One of my buddies borrowed a hub switch from one of the schools he worked at. Brought it into my garage. We plugged everybody in, all the TVs out there, and we had a good time sitting out there. And it was like kind of weather like today was, where it's chilly. So it wasn't like normally we're dying outside. It feels like the sun is still burning you, and hasn't been out for like 3 to 6 hours, and it's still muggy out here. So it was a nice, cool night, and we had a great time, and we all razzed each other. We had a good time, just having fun, changing up teams, doing all. Again, Xbox did all that. None of the other consoles brought that many people together to have a good time.
At that time it was unheard of. Absolutely.
Right.
It was completely unheard of.
To push out PC LAN party for an Xbox, that's unheard of. But that's what happened.
All right. Next question. What was probably or what is currently like a gaming genre that you just don't really like or refuse to play completely?
Souls games.
Souls games. Okay.
I ain't got time for that bullshit. Sorry, pardon my French, but I ain't got time for that. I tried it, hated it. Tried it again, hated it. I'm like, I'm not torturing myself with the next game that's like it. So,
and there's never been a hitter for you in any Souls games.
No, I have not tried. What was that? The last one that they put out.
What, Elden Ring, Lies of P?
I've not tried Elden Ring.
Okay.
So I've not tried it. That one there I may try out.
It's pretty nice being able to run away. I'll tell you that. It's pretty nice being able to run away and be like, I'm gonna go fight these guys.
That'd be it. My wife heard about Lies of P, and she was all excited about it. I'm like, good luck with that. I ain't doing it. I said, I'll download it for you, but I ain't even gonna mess with it. I ain't got the time. I ain't got the patience. And unlike some other friends, I don't break my controllers, but those games would make me get to the point of breaking a controller. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not even worth the hassle.
Those boss fights get hectic.
Yeah. I mean, I do, and that's the thing. Each thing has its time and place. Again, everybody's clamoring that we need to make an easy mode for others that can't play this. No. Let them lose out. If they
find a different
game a certain way, yeah, that's the thing. And I get it. I know you want to be included, but at the same time, I want to be included, but I don't want to play a game on easy, just so I can stay alive. And even some games that I've played on easy aren't that easy. So again, it's let them make their game how they make it. If they lose out, they lose out. That's their own problem. If they don't lose out, then good for them. But
in my opinion, I think it's like you think you want to be included, just like you thought you wanted to be included to go to that dance party, and then you get there and smoke is everywhere. You don't really like drinking that much, and then you realize I'm standing in the corner doing nothing. Yeah. Why did I wish to be here so badly? So a lot of this whole we need inclusion, sure, in some things I agree. But if you're talking about something that is like for the most part like a hobby or just for fun. Like, yo, oh I don't need models to be made in a way that I understand it so I get into it. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
I'm either into building models or I'm not. I don't need
right,
them to be like, all right, well, this is the clip on and this is the YouTube channel that will show you exactly what you need to do to build all the stuff. And if you don't, and if you don't understand it, then we have 1-800 hotline where we walk you through every piece. No. If I can't do it, maybe that's just not for me.
right. And that's again, that's part of the thing is it's not for me. I'm not going to make them change just so I can be a part of the crowd to say, "Hey, I played this."
Exactly.
Again, it's their artwork. They should determine on how their artwork is. And I do agree that they need to be inclusive, but as long as it fits in with their design.
Right. Exactly. As long as it makes sense and doesn't take away the essence of what it was made to do in the first
Right.
place. Absolutely. Shout out to you guys that are still sticking around watching. We've been doing this for about 2 hours, 50 minutes. Shout out to those of you that are on YouTube. Shout out to those of you that are on Rumble. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe if you're on YouTube, and hit that like and follow if you're on Rumble. I'd appreciate it a ton. I'm very new to Rumble. Still trying to get that whole thing lifted off. But I do this show every Thursday night with different individuals around gaming. Of all different types. Some people are within the content creation, some are just gamers, some are actual developers. So if you want to keep up on this, make sure that you hit that either subscribe on YouTube or follow on Rumble, so you can stay in so you can kind of stay in the know of when I have these shows. And we'll also be doing the show for the first time on Rumble tomorrow, called Bull Sitting, which we've been doing regularly on YouTube for the past 2 years. So definitely make sure you guys come through and check that out. But we do have a few more questions before we get up out of here with Dreadpool this evening. Fantastic interview, by the way. And I know whenever I go past my 2 hour mark, it means that the person that's on the show with me is actually vibing, actually having a good time. They're not trying to hurry up and scramble and get the hell up out of here, right? I'm actually having a decent conversation with them, keeping the conversation moving, and they're enjoying themselves. And hopefully, with that being said, you guys are enjoying the conversation as well. But as I move on to the next question, my brother, I'm wondering, what were the best 3 games that you played in the last calendar year? So that goes all the way back to 11/2 of 2022. And it doesn't have to be games that came out then. This is just the best games that you've literally put into your console or downloaded, or maybe you threw something in your N64 or your your Genesis or Dreamcast or something like that, and you haven't played it, and you were just like, man, I missed out. What were 3 games within the last calendar year that you were like, man, that was a bang?
Cell phone games count? Candy Crush? No, I'm kidding. I don't. Hey,
I
back
was
off,
I, I
back
was
off,
thinking
back off,
about it. I was thinking about it.
back
But
off.
go on ahead.
No, uh, first and foremost, let's see. Starfield is one.
Okay.
Loving it. I wish I had more time because I would definitely get into it more. It definitely has my gaming ADD fixed because I just wherever I go, okay, let's go do this now.
Ooh, a piece of
Something
candy.
over here now.
Ooh, a
I
piece
didn't
of
finish
candy.
this thing, but we'll get back to this. We're gonna go over here. Oh, look at this. We can mine some more. Let's keep mine. Oh, we got to go back over this way and finish this thing. Oh, some more stuff to mine. Oh, I haven't seen this thing before. So yeah, Starfield. Cool stuff. Again, I haven't been able to get into it as much as I want to, but I'm jonesing to get back into that one. Dead Island 2 is definitely up there.
That's a real good chill. Just beat the hell out of some things game.
Yeah. It's amazing how they changed it up. I understand why, but it's a shame that they changed up the controller so much because going back and forth from the OG Dead Island to this one throws you off at first, and it's like, the first one is very intuitive. This one here is a little different because of the way they changed it up, but I still love it. What was the other one? The other one I played.
This is number 3, so you got to make it count, brother. Make it count.
Man,
Say
I gotta look it up. Forspoken? No.
You ain't have to say it. Come on, man. You gotta put a little bit of respect on it, man. I'm trying to support the old girl out here. Forspoken out here trying to do something. But they took it away.
I'm trying to remember what the game was. I was just playing it. Of course, nothing's loading up. Where was it? Oh, Fortnite. That was the other game.
Fortnite. Yo. I didn't expect to hear that.
No, exactly. That was the thing is we were doing that for with community game nights. All right. So I have to give.
Were y'all playing the actual game or the battle royale?
No, man. We play the only game. No build.
Well, okay.
No builds.
So battle royale it was.
It's a battle royale, but no builds. Again, it's
nobody knows about the real game of Fortnite anymore.
No, I know the real game of Fortnite. Which is why its name derived from it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
But when you look at it, it's again, community game nights. It's a fun time that we have. We laughing at each other and stuff like that. So I give it to them because I've avoided it as much as possible. With the haunted houses, we have kids when Fortnite became hugely popular with the dances. We banned it from the house because kids would come through and do their dances, and it's like, I just scared the shit out of you, and yet you're gonna turn around and come back and try to come at me with a Fortnite dance? Really?
They trying to serve you up, bruh. They trying to serve you.
Or they're coming up and they're walking through the house like, ain't nothing in here, and doing the dance, and it's like, and then I scared the crap out of them, and they're like, oh, then they do the loser dance, and it's like, really? You're the one that jumped. Like, who's really the loser? You're the one that's doing the Fortnite dances is the loser, right? you catch the irony here, right? So it was, it's been banned, but because of the community, jumped on, again, Red Tree, Silent Cypher, and a few others, just having a good time. We even did with Game Beyond the Box. At one point in time, we did we did tournaments, and that was one of the ones that we did tournaments with. And so I got to do color commentary with Fork Boy, and that got brought up again that they want us to do another one, but we just don't have the time to do something like that. So, but yeah, Fortnite's a fun one.
All right, so those are your 3. You say Dead Island, Starfield, and Fortnite. Okay.
Yeah.
For the next
really
question,
wish I didn't say Fortnite.
Oh, you said it. It's done. It's recorded. It's in the books. The next question, brother, is what is your favorite video game studio, and what game best represents that studio? That's your favorite.
See that? This is a hard one. This is a hard one because a lot of studios aren't who they are or who they were.
Sure, that's fair.
Okay.
But see, I want you to use that game to say that time period. So like if this question was directed to me, I would say Midway. And the game that represented it would be the time period of Blitz of the League.
Oh, nice. See, and that's part of the issue is there's so many of them depending on the era that you look at and the time frame.
You can say BioWare and Mass Effect.
They're one of them.
I've seen the smirk.
They're one of them. I'm thinking something else, but right now it's very controversial because of the situation, and that would be Halo 2 and Bungie.
Oh, yes. There's a lot of turmoil going on around that
This
right
is
now
you
and how they
understand? So,
treat
and they are not the same as
employees.
they used to be. Um, BioWare was one of them too, because I mean, I loved Jade Empire. Those guys at BioWare were doing like some of the most awesome stuff, differences in games and ideas and stuff like that. But now they're but a shell of what they used to be. You know what I mean? That's why, unfortunately, with what's going on now. But yeah, Halo 2 is going to be the main one because they changed up Halo as like made it something completely different. Halo 3, I started faltering with it because I didn't like the power ups. You know what I mean? But Halo 2 was really cool. Dual wielding, um, the things that Bungie was doing back then was phenomenal. And then they
Okay.
come out with Destiny. I know, back. I know. Back's gonna be like, that's it. I'm never talking to you again.
Hey, it is
But
what it is, right? It is what
it's
it is.
you know, like I said, it depends on the era, but we'll go with that. That way we have a simple answer because we could be here another 3 hours.
Facts. Let's see. The next question is, and this is another one of my favorite questions right here. This might be my favorite question of all of the questions that I have week after week. And that is, if you were to revive two games that are dead IPs right now, what two games would you reach back and give the AAA, quadruple A quality to? Just take it to the absolute next level. Keep in mind, this at least has to be a generation out. So at least PS3, 360, Wii generation, and prior.
Huh. So you mean I can't say Forza Motorsport again? No, I'm kidding.
Absolutely not.
Uncharted remaster, remake? No.
Absolutely not.
No. So honestly, everyone should be expecting this one, right? So this one here is Fear. Make the trilogy, bring that back. I mean,
Horror games are popping
Fear,
right now.
Fear was a great game. 2 and 3 had their quirks. Certain things were better in one, where they were worse than the other, and vice versa. But yeah, bring back Fear and give it the remake that it deserves, right? That one there is for most people are to be expected for me to say. Now the second one is another one, but the old school guys probably would be expecting this one. The Legacy of Kain series, Soul Reaver.
Yes, that's a classic.
Those games need to be remade and brought back. Again, another one of those RE remake touches. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. What they did
just-
with Resident Evil 4 just recently.
Yeah. Yes.
Took tank controls, made it way pretty with some ray tracing and shit like that. Yeah.
Change up
It's hot.
the story a little bit, make it more cohesive. Because a lot of times with those
They
older
did
ones,
that
they
with
did
Dead Space too.
together. Yeah. They just kind of slapped them together and like, all right, you know, well, where are we going with this one? I don't know, but this part here is pretty cool. Let's include this. And it's like, it's got nothing to do with the story. Why are we doing this? It's not Starfield where you're going to wherever. This is a linear focused game. Why are we going to wherever? So, but yeah, that's another series that needs to come back. I mean, how cool was it to turn into Mist and go through the graveyard and then pop back up as Kain? You know what I mean? It's stuff like that. Soul Reaver itself was pretty cool. You know, again, some of the tank controls didn't help the game out. You know, just like playing the original Lara Croft. You know, you just can't. Sometimes you can't go back. You know what I mean?
Sometimes you can't. Like, for real. Like no, I get that. Like, sometimes you really want to and you try to push through it and it just doesn't
Knights. I bought Knights of the Old Republic. I tried playing it again because I was like, yes, I'm going to play it again. I'm going to BC it, and no, I got through
Damn,
maybe
tragic.
half hour, maybe at the most an hour. Controls
All
was
right.
bad.
Next question I got for you. Would you got let's see, we got one, two, we got three questions left. So
Okay.
what is your most exciting game coming down the line, like 2024 and beyond?
Fable.
Okay.
Fable.
Is it because of some of the new stuff that that you think that they may be doing
No,
with it, or is it just because you love that IP?
I am a huge fan of that IP. I love the best Fable is Fable 2 because I pre-ordered
Yes,
it
it is. I agree.
and I was able to play as a stranger from another world. I had the Master Chief downloadable skin. I had the energy sword in Fable, and I played like that the whole way. I didn't care if anything else was better. I played with that up until the very end. Then I had to use some of the real weapons. But for the most part, the energy sword was OP. Um, for most of the game, the uh, the clothing was pretty much OP. But again, I love the fact that they made a Fable version of Master Chief, and I got to play as theoretically as Master Chief in Fable. So
Yeah, he
I
wasn't
hope they
chasing
do.
no
I
chickens.
hope they do something. Yeah, he he was he was kicking chickens like they were what the heck's they called now? Man, I just drew a blank again. It's it's one of those nights. It's been one of those weeks. 3 days
It's
I
it,
worked 50 hours.
and we've been doing this for a hot second now. We've been on
Mhm.
here for a hot minute. All right,
Yeah.
so down to the last two questions, which I'd like to combine them into one. What's
Okay.
cracking, TJ? I can see him, John TJ, coming through on Rumble to say what's up. That's what's up. That's good to see you there, brother. I appreciate you for hopping on there. Hopefully, you already hit that follow button and that like and everything. Like, you already know the deal, man. You do that everywhere you go. But anyways, the last two questions that we're on, which, like I said, I like to combine them into one. The first half is what frustrates you about gaming. That can be anything, like literally any piece of gaming. And then the second part, I want you to be selfish on and tell me what is your dream come true in gaming as a whole. And in that one, like I said, you can be very selfish with. But let's go on ahead and answer the first one. What frustrates you in gaming?
In general, what frustrates me are the narcissistic saviors that tell me that a game is bad and I should stay away from it because it's on a different platform than what they prefer. All right. People like that will gatekeep others. So when it comes to all that, little known console out there that is still in limbo is the Amico, and you had people that were going after the Amico and how bad it is and how horrible it's got nothing to do to compete against Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, or any of those. It's a totally different platform. It's
Yeah, I
a
remember
totally
Mike was
different
hot
demographic.
about that. He was hot.
Yeah, I played it. And I had people giving me crap about I was dual streaming or dual recording and streaming at the same time. So one-handed, I'm trying to watch what I'm doing here, watch my phone with the other hand, and watch the TV and play a game. And people were like, "Oh, like it's not responsible. Like you suck at it." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, I'm trying to show you like me playing and the controller and the TV at the same time on the big screen,
Right.
trying to show you that the responsiveness and people are making stuff up. So when it comes to the narcissists that are, my savior, they can go, kick rocks. I don't need people like that in gaming. and nobody else does either. When you have these liars that make stuff up. Um, we talked about it before with,
Mm-hmm.
we'll zoom in extra, 10x on a 144p, and then you compare it to the other screen, which is like 4K, and you're like, oh, look, and then we're even further away, and it still looks better. So, again, those type of people need to stay away from gaming. That is what I hate about gaming, as opposed to being welcoming as a gamer, not as a fake person that plays Twitter. So you know, again, that's what I don't like in gaming. And I know it probably wasn't what you were expecting or looking for, but that's
No,
really what it
this is your answer. I
is. Yeah.
can't. I'm not going to pander you to answer how
Oh, I
I
didn't
want
say you had to
you to
pander.
give
No,
me
no.
an answer. I want you
Yeah.
just to give me whatever you think about that question. So now let's do the other half, the better half of the question. What would be a dream come true for you in gaming? And I mean, you and like I said, you can be selfish with this. You can
Oh,
talk
I'm
about something
totally
for your
selfish.
something big in gaming for yourself, or you could wish upon a star or something. I don't
I'm totally be selfish. I want a video game based on me, but
know. Let's
but
go.
the abilities of Deadpool.
Oh
I want to be
shit.
able to do flips and stuff that I can't do physically now. You know what I mean? Stuff like I used to do when I was a kid and such. I want to be that superhero. I want to have the game that transcends time and space, like a lot of Bethesda games do. I want I want to bring joy to everybody to enjoy this type of game where you can play it this way or that way and have the variety, and of course my face on it. So that's me being greedy. Um, Overall, what with that being said, I do want uh, more people to grow up and be more welcoming to everybody. To get and truly just be gamers, enjoy games, enjoy having fun, enjoy sharing the hobby, not locking it down from others, not being
Facts.
better than somebody else. You know what I mean? I That's really what I want. I want people to enjoy life, and if gaming is part of their life that helps them break away from the bad things in life to relax, or maybe to be their vacation, stuff like that, that's what I want. I want, for lack of a better word, um I want peace, but I also want to develop and enhance our communities, if not our human race, to be better and do better. I want this VR stuff to blow up and be something really cool that it has the potential of doing. So I want better for all of us, just in general. Plus my face on a video game.
That would be dope, right?
Right?
Um, so now we have hit the end of the show in Dreadpool. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for coming out, giving me your time, giving me your energy, giving me your presence here on camera today to talk about your history, your facts, the way that you see things and whatnot. I really appreciate you for being here. I really appreciate everybody for pulling up on YouTube and Rumble. I appreciate all of you. Make sure you guys all subscribe or follow and hit that like button if you can. But if you could, one more time, let everybody know where they can find Mr. Breaking Bread with Dread, the Dreadpool. Where can they find you?
Yes, you can find me on YouTube, Twitter. It's well, mostly everything is Dreadpool, and it's all letters. Twitter is the zeros are the O's are actually zeros. So if you look up Linktree, look up Dreadpool. Every which place you look, between TikTok, Twitter, Hover GG, which I haven't really been supporting much. I'm on Blue Sky now, so it's the original Twitter people. So
Okay.
yeah, anywhere you look, it's Dreadpool. Twitch, the real Dreadpool. What else is there? Mixer used to be Dreadpool. If you for those that remember that. But yeah, Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Breaking Bread with Dread. Look up Dreadpool, and you'll find everything there. Again, YouTube is my main place that I post a lot of the content. Twitter is my main place that I interact with a lot of people, and from there it's just whatever. My Xbox, Dreadpool, PlayStation, Dreadpool, everything, pretty much Dreadpool. I try to keep it synonymous until somebody takes my name first, and then I have to makeshift it with something else.
No
But
doubt, no doubt. Going ahead.
I was gonna say I appreciate you inviting me and doing this. Had a great time. Love everybody that's here on YouTube supporting Ham Solo. Love everybody that's on Rumble checking it out and also supporting Ham Solo. You guys are awesome. Again, thank you, Ham, for the request and the interview, and it's been a blast.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much again to you and everybody out here watching and whatnot this evening. Make sure you guys keep your ear to the ground, because next week will be another episode of Behind Them Sticks, and I have the guests coming through from Windows Central. You may have heard of him before, you may not, but he goes by the name of Jez Corder. He's going to be coming through here. Next week it's going to be an earlier show. I believe it's going to be at, let me see, 2 p.m. Central, so that's 3 o'clock Eastern, noon Pacific. So make sure you guys come through, check that out. As I said earlier, we're going to be having our episode of Bullsitting tomorrow, with me, Loke, Matt Likes Games, Cozy Beluga, and a guest. We do these shows every week, but I know that the people out there in Rumble right now checking out this show this evening, although I appreciate you guys, we have just started laying out content over there. So make sure, if you don't like YouTube, you only like to support Rumble, I will be there for you guys tomorrow for our next show and on into the future with all of our shows. That includes Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday shows will all be here on Rumble. So make sure you guys stay tuned, hit that follow button so you stay on top and get them alerts that I'm going live. But all of you guys, thank you guys so much for being here. It's been a good show. Last thing I like to do at the end of every single show, whenever I have the guest here, is ask them to do this one last thing before we cut off. And that thing, Dreadpool, is I want you to describe gaming in just 3 words.
3 words. Okay. It is adventure, entertainment, and trying to figure out what the third one would be. Companionship.
So excitement, adventure, and companionship.
Adventure. Right? Adventure. What did I say?
Adventure, excitement, and
yes. Yeah. Companionship.
And companionship. Awesome. Well, that's a great way to tie up the rest of this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching this evening. This is your boy Ham Solo signing off with our guest Dreadpool this evening on another episode of Behind Them Sticks. As I always say, y'all out there in the gaming community, make sure you're doing this one thing that's important: keeping it gaming or keeping it moving. Peace out, y'all.